just looking for it now and I can't see it, but I know that's how I logged in. So.
It came through in the afternoon. Yeah, it's okay. So welcome, guys. I think we are a perfect little group, so we have enough time to practice today. Yeah. This is Thomas, who most of you know. We had for Ruchi, you haven't met Thomas. We had an expert in sales, and we had a webinar with him leading that couple of months ago. You will have access to that, so I'll send the links to all the previous trainings later on. And also I'm transitioning
everything. You put it in the new group, Daya, come on.
Yes, exactly, I was just about to say that. So excited about this, actually, because I found this out.
Rightly so.
Was that?
It's a good idea to have everything in one place. It makes sense. Like a library.
Yeah, like a library. And also there's a calendar for events, and it's like your own Facebook almost. So you can have a discussion, you can segregate discussions per topic, and also you have a single place for all events. So you can click on the calendar, like in Marissa's kind of calendar link, and then you have everything that's already been done in the past in a single place. So it's a really good platform. And yeah, I'm really excited. So Ruchi, I'll send you the invite to that as well later, and then you can access everything you had in the past.
It's a great system.
You should say that, actually, Daya. Marissa's using it for the Dietless Life and the Abundant Life Mighty Networks.
Oh, she's using it for Abundant Life. Abundant what?
The Abundant Life and Dietless Life. That's her latest program. So it's. I'm just saying you've chosen the same as her, so it must have got some.
Well, that's good.
How can I say? What's the word I'm looking
Keeping
for?
Up with
the right kind of present
synergy
for her to have picked it.
Yeah.
Synergy. Great minds think alike.
Yeah. She's the system we're using for all kinds of alumni events and stuff like that is Kajabi, and I do not find it attractive at all. So I quite like Mighty Networks. And I would really like the message I sent earlier today to my group, and Ruchi, I'll send it to you. I see you guys as founding members. I mean, every word of it. I really appreciate you all, and your contribution and feedback on how to organize things in the best way will be invaluable. So yeah, and great to hear that Marissa is using that too. I think
she's following suit.
Yeah, she's following suit. Or I'm following suit.
Cheers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've got no idea in what order. I'm part of both of those things. The Abundant Life used to be on, I can't even remember who used to host it, but they moved earlier in the year. And Dietless Life is what she just launched just a couple of weeks ago, well, 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
What do you do in Abundant Life?
Sorry, just a quick technical question. And that's a course on Mighty Networks, the Abundant Life.
Basically, they're programs. The Abundant Life is just over a year old, and that has 4 pillars where Marissa talks on 4 different topics, and you can do the challenges. Whereas the Dietless Life is a one-off program where she's doing 12 weeks of hypnosis. You know, 1 live session a week. You listen to the hypnosis. For each of the weeks. And she's just taking all the top tips and maybe adding to the top tips that she's given over, over the other programs she's done, I guess. Yeah. But that's kind of like her newest thing, I'm going to say.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything newer than the Dietless Life.
What do you do in the Abundant? Sorry, what do you do in the Abundant Life, Mel? I'm interested in that.
It's the 4 challenges. It's there's a challenge for relationships, a challenge for health, a challenge for confidence, and what is the 4th one? What area of life have I missed?
I hope it's money.
Oh, presumably. There you go. Yeah, money mindset. So the 4 challenge. But they call them the pillars, and they do a challenge on each of the ones that you can undertake when you want. And this, library of meditations, hypnosis, books, that kind of thing.
Great.
Sounds good.
Okay. So without further ado, let's get to sales. So the way we plan today is that you guys have a lot of time to practice either on each other or with one of us. In the last workshop, we were teaching a lot, which I'm sure, I hope, I'm sure, I hope was useful, but I really want you guys to have time to practice today. So what we're going to do, we'll run through the structure, the overall structure of a discovery call. We'll look at some what's the word I'm looking for? Most common objections. And then we'll get you guys to practice and we'll learn as we go along and we'll give you feedback and so on. Before actually we do that, I also want to ask every single one of you, what are the most common objections or struggles? Maybe it's not an objection, maybe it's something that you experienced at the beginning of a discovery call that you have currently. So I know Mel and Dave, but I still want to hear something from you guys because something may have changed in the last weeks. So just to kind of frame this for today, we are working specifically with a discovery call. So something that we also call it the free 30-minute consultation. A free call that someone books with you either through a website, through a social media, through whatever it may be, is that final step before you convert someone into a paying client, either packages, programs, whatever it is you offer. Okay, so it's that one-to-one conversation. That's what we're doing today. Okay, so Mel, what are the most common objections or struggles? I know that you're at a different stage of the journey. Is there anything you want to say in this regard?
Yeah, I'm not getting the calls yet, but I anticipate that the main thing is to get people to see the value of investing in themselves. I think people are sometimes reluctant. You know, they'll pay for the new TV, they'll pay for the new car, for the new whatever, but the idea of actually investing in themselves is a little bit foreign to them. You know, they'll build a new room in the house, but they won't think about...
I'll be back in just a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Putting money in themselves. And I think if I was making my best guess, it's helping them to see that investment is the best investment they could possibly make, because it's an investment for life.
Yeah, it's very true. And I see that kind of objection, and it's not necessarily an objection, but the resistance. Even with people who are practitioners, who are in this field, they will pay for something else, for their business, for their house, for their holidays, but not for their own personal development.
Could I just throw something in there? So, I mean, I come from a credit commercial world, so that's imprinted on my outlook. How do you talk about the benefit in general, generically? How does one talk about the benefits that come from having invested well?
Well, if you invest well in yourself, especially in something like RTT, I can't speak so much for RTC and control yet, but if I just look at it from the RTT angle, what I'm saying to them is, look, you know, you've come through life and you've got some patterns in you that are hindering your progress. They could be money patterns, confidence patterns, procrastinating patterns. It could be anything, but there's patterns within you that are stopping you from making moves that you would otherwise make. And the benefit of you making those moves is you can take that next direction. So for me, I'm aiming for mature ladies. And what I want them to see is, yeah, the kids might have flown the nest. Maybe their career is stopped or finished, or they don't want to do anything more with it. Or, you know, maybe they're moving on from their first marriage to another marriage, or whatever it might be. But somehow they've got themselves a bit stuck and stagnant, and they can't imagine themselves getting past it. The solution that I'm offering them will break down the barriers that are stopping them from that next adventure. So to me, the benefit is progress, movement forwards. The investment is perpetual, because once the barrier's gone.
That makes a lot of sense to me. I think, to be honest, I would put it even more generically than that. And I wonder whether this is something any of you will find useful, maybe not, in which case I apologize for taking a bit of your time. But to me, the benefit of having invested is quite simply ROI. It's return on investment. I have a guy who phones me up every now and then to invest in art. I don't know why. He's got my number from somewhere. I don't know why he thinks I'm interested in investing in art, But when he phones me up, he doesn't talk about the beautiful paintings I'm going to be investing in. I'm not going to get anything to hang in my house. He just talks percentages and risks. And so far, he's not been able to convince me that the risks are better than I can get with other investment packages through my financial advisor. But when he talks to me about investment, he talks in terms of ROI, money back.
I think I don't know if I agree with it from my perspective. I think the return on the investment is the personal joy. You somehow, as you go through life, find yourself restricting yourself.
So, sorry, go on.
Well, I'm just giving my personal view, and my personal view is you're investing in yourself, which helps you to enjoy life more. And
I think what you say makes perfect sense. For me, and again, take from this what you will, you buy pleasure, you invest in money. Those are the two different things. And if somebody was trying to convince me to invest in pleasure, then that would create a disconnect for me. If someone's saying to me, for example, we were talking about money earlier with the abundant life. If I'm having trouble charging what I think I should, if I'm having trouble committing to a work profile, if I'm having trouble finding my niche, if I'm having trouble with something business related, that's an investment. If I'm having trouble snapping at family members, if I'm having trouble sleeping at night, I'm not used to investing. I'm a private citizen. I go through my life, I buy a car, I buy a house. Maybe I think about investing in a house if I'm building an extension because it's going to put the price up. But most likely, I've just got 3 kids and they're at each other's throats. And I think with a bit of extra room, maybe I can shove 2 of them in a playroom at any given time. And I just think people aren't used to investing. People as individuals, they're not used to the word investing, and I worry that it triggers.
Are you talking about the language here?
Yeah.
Okay. So what would you use instead? That's a great point. I think that's a really valid point.
I would listen to what they're telling you. I know I say this every time, but if you listen to somebody for long enough, they will tell you how to sell to them. But if you're, one of the issues I've highlighted in these kind of packages is you're asking people to pay a few £1,000s. People aren't used to paying that kind of money. They're either used to paying more for a car or a house, or less for pretty much everything else in their life. The most expensive, most people's purchases go from mobile phone or computer, car. That's what most people are comfortable with. And these kind of packages tend to fit in the gap there. So I would use language that people are comfortable with. Investment, if you see somebody responding to investment, brilliant. But I wouldn't just assume that investment is, unless you're able to tie it directly to, if you invest in this, you will remove this problem. For an investment of £2,500, you can get rid of this problem sleeping. In 10 years' time.
What you're doing, though, in essence, that is what RTT would do. And particularly, I'm looking to do a program, a 12-week program. And I really, I know I don't have the proof of the pudding to offer because I've not done one, but 3 RTT sessions with 12 weeks of hypnosis, it's almost impossible that you wouldn't have a change. Really? Not if you were listening to the audios every day. It's, I can't believe it's possible that they wouldn't have a change.
Fundamentally, use what, absolutely. If that works for you, then use that for you. Fundamentally, anything that's working for you, keep using. It was an observation, as I say, I come from.
I'm listening to what you're saying, and I guess I'm trying to describe it.
Yeah.
In my language, I perceive me as investing in me when I'm doing training.
So that is, I think both of you guys are raising a really important. So I want to give the others to contribute as well. Really important. Let's go back on track and give the others the opportunity to say what's their biggest struggle. A small point here, I actually agree with the word investment being used in a business sense. I rarely use it for that reason, even in a business sense, even when I talk about, say, practitioner marketing or mindset program, but that's a personal preference. So it's what's key here is to know who's in front of you and to use their language, as Thomas rightly said. I actually work with a nutritionist, practitioner of nutritional science a few years ago, and she used the word investment on me. Now, we both came from the same kind of entrepreneurial circle, so I know all the sales and stuff. And she used to me, and I was like, No, why are you using that word? It's a personal well-being thing, like you said. Why using the word investment? So you have to know, you have to use the other person's language. That's very key. And actually, in the last training, we talked about, if you guys remember, Mel and Dave, and for Ruchi, I'll just give a quick overview.
Mhm.
We talked about, Ruchi, have you been to one of my 7 steps webinars?
No, actually, I attended your EFT, and yes, and then here
Yeah.
I am now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just going to show you really, I'll try to make this in like under 2 minutes, just to give an example of how you're both right. Okay. And
Sounds good to
how
me.
it is your preference and it's Mel's preference.
Mhm.
And you have to do what's right for you.
Absolutely.
And you also have to know who's in front of you. So it's a really fine dance and balance between the two. You don't want to, in my opinion, again, that's my opinion, right? You don't want to betray yourself and do something that doesn't sit right with you. That's what car salesmen do, right? They just do the sales stuff. That's not who we are. We're practitioners. We work with people. We love people. We love helping. But also, you have to know who's in front of you. Yes, Ruchi.
Can I ask something? Like, I was just thinking, if I'm in the client's shoes and, I'm thinking from the other perspective and somebody tells me, oh, this is the best investment you can make in yourself. I think I'll feel really happy about it. That's just me.
There you go.
That-
There you go.
That's me. Like, I was like, yes, what is more important than investing in yourself? So how I'll just go a bit metaphorical here. Okay. So you're purchasing a car, right? So you're going to replace it in 10 years, 20 years. Now, this is a car you're going to be running for about 90 years. So what can be a more valuable investment?
Absolutely.
That's my thought process about it. Yeah. So I don't know how you feel.
One of the first things I ever learned.
That's kind of what I'm.
That's where you
Yeah.
come.
I hear what you say because it's what I'm thinking, but I'm also hearing what Thomas is saying is you've got to listen to people's language. You have to speak their language. If you don't speak their language,
Yeah.
they're not going to hear you.
Absolutely correct. That's exactly it, Mel. You said it just one sentence. If they don't speak your language, if you don't speak their language, they're not going to hear you. And I think a tiny one word can change everything. So you guys are saying the best investment in yourself that you can make. Now, I personally will probably relate to that. If you tell me, oh, the investment here is £2,000, but today you get it for £1,000, and that's the investment today. The investment today is a very business-like term, entrepreneurial, and then you drop the price 5 times, and everything's fantastic, and all of that. So 2 words extra in yourself, to me, makes the whole difference. I don't know if you would agree, but
Yeah, if it works for you, the most important thing I've ever learned about sales is the phrase UCOW, UCOW, use the client's own words.
Yeah.
Whatever else you do, just listen and they will tell you how to sell to them.
Yeah, absolutely. So listen.
Is there a good website that you can look these things up?
What thing? Sorry.
For SEO and stuff, I keep meaning to ask this because I want to check the strength of my words for my banner. Is there a good SEO website where you can check what your potential clients are most likely to be saying and doing? Because that would be quite a handy barometer for me to consult, if I put it like that.
SEO and copywriting, copy that sells, are two kind of overlapping, but yet different things. That's one thing. I don't know.
It's still the language that people use, isn't it? Because they're Googling for it.
Yeah,
they're Googling for that term, so it's in their vocabulary. Otherwise,
there's something called Google Keywords or Google Trends. I would go to that and check which has more hits. So yeah, if you go there and Google anxiety versus I don't know, help with anxiety versus anxiety coaching, anxiety therapy, you will see which one gets more hits. Absolutely. Yeah. So that's one good way, to start. So I want to quickly remind you of these 4 types of clients, guys, because, and as I present this to you in the next couple of minutes or so, 90 seconds, think about who you identify with. And that may very well answer the question as to why Ruchi and Mel are kind of on the same page. Thomas saying something else, I'm saying something else, and we have to hear what Dave thinks. So again, language, very different for everyone. As Thomas is saying, you have to listen and speak their language. Okay. So it's what about it's all about what the client thinks. You may have same thing in with bringing ideas to life. You may have an amazing, you may think you have an amazing idea. Sorry, where's that disruption coming from?
Which disruption, sorry?
Oh, there was a bit of sound, but I think it's fine now. It's okay. You may think you have an amazing idea, but then you ask people what they think. And if they think, oh, well, I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me, then it's not a good idea. So same thing here. So we have the 4 types of clients, and over again, as I present this to practitioners who are very experienced, they say, oh my God, I've seen all of them and I never realized that. So first we have the carer, who are very much people like us. They love helping people and they use soft language usually, and they may be put off, maybe investment in yourself can work, but the investment here, and I'm going to drop my price and I'm going to wear a business suit, maybe a little bit off-putting. People who wear kind of softer clothes, softer colors, softer words, softer gestures, and so on. Then we have the opposite of that, which scares the carer, which is the kind of very brash, very, what do we call that? Very kind of wanting to win person, who I call the know-it-all, which is not very nice, but also in a good sense, I call it the warrior. So the person who is a leader, basically. They're driven more by their head, by their intellect. They love to control what's around them. And so they are the ones who ask for qualifications and experience and stuff like that, and make sure they're getting the best out of things.
I think I used the phrase commander for that, didn't I, a while back?
Commander, yeah, I like commander, leader, warrior. I like, yeah, commander is a good one, because they command. They like to command. They literally like to command and tell you how to do your job, potentially. So I'd have you raise your hand, because I can't, actually can't see you. If you've had someone as a client who likes to tell you what to do. Yeah, Dave, I think Dave knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, so that's the person who likes to be in control. That's the opposite of the carer, which is why we as practitioners, as therapists, may find it, if we have a lot of the carer in us, may find it a bit challenging to deal with that person. But here's the trick. All they need is some of the opposing energy. So they need some of your love just to tone down, to soften. If you have a carer in front of you, reversely, they need some strength. They need to be a little bit more of a leader and stop taking care of everybody else, but also of themselves. So the carer is the person who says, I don't know, my son is this, my family, I don't know if I have time to invest in myself or money, because they take care of everybody else. So the money goes to other people. So you need to give them the strength to believe in themselves. And like Thomas likes to say, you have to have your own cup full before you can help anybody else. So you can spot a carer by the way they dress, the way they speak, softly, kind of whiter clothes, maybe like whiter and lighter. So you need to remind them that they need to look after themselves first. Reversely, the person who always challenges you, who wants the best, and who says, why aren't you, well, actually the timing is probably the perfectionist, but who wants to tell you what to do, to be in control, to command you, be a commander, they need some of this love and softness. And you can meld them, well, I don't know if you can meld them necessarily, but you can soften them down, tone them down with that love. Then we have the perfectionist, who is kind of similar to the commander, but it's more about time. Being on time, very important. One of my practitioner clients the other day said, oh, I was 5 minutes late, and this client said, I cannot work with you. Well, because she had a perfectionist in front of her, okay? Not because being 5 minutes late is the end of the world, not because that client, there was a mismatch, because timing was very important to that person. And that, yeah. So perfectionist likes to be organized, to know the timing and so on. They need to take themselves less seriously. That's their problem. I'm often that. I get stuck in research, trying to find the perfect thing, and then being upset when something is not being on time, or something is not quite on time, and so on.
I'm a commander, so if anyone's having any trouble dealing with that type of client, I'm more than happy to have a chat with you about it. I am that know-it-all, though I don't like the phrase, but the leader, warrior, commander one, that is definitely me. So very happy to talk to anyone I can help with that. That's
a great point. So is this making sense, first of all, guys? I would like you to think now who you are, mostly, primarily, because of course we have more than one type and we have something from everyone, and then who you encounter the most in your discovery calls. Okay, And finally, we have the butterfly, what I call, or in their good self is the artist. That is the person who Thomas here thinks I'm some weird hybrid.
I do
What do you call
think
that?
I do think that there is a hybrid.
Some
I
weird.
do think
It's funny because the perfectionist and the butterfly are supposed to be opposites. The perfectionist wants everything on time, done perfectly. And the butterfly is like, la, 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 I'm here and I'm there and I'm an artist and I have ideas. And it's true. I do expect, especially from people who work for me, I expect perfection. On the other hand, I could be late. Like I think we were late today, a few minutes. And then I do have all these ideas and sometimes I struggle to get organized. So it is true. And you could have this conflicting kind of type sometimes. So the butterfly is the artist, the person who may be all over the place. Very often they're very bubbly. So you recognize them because they're very bubbly, very much, they move a lot. They probably do something artistic, paint, draw, dance, sing, whatever. And they hate to be trapped. They hate being trapped. So if you push them too hard, they probably run away. But if you forget to follow up with them, they will probably forget to follow up with you. So there's, again, is that fine dance, that balance between being there for them. They need structure. So you got to be there for them, but not push them too hard. I literally had a client who I had the most amazing conversation today. She had kind of gone quiet on me, not really responding or kind of responding with a word for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And if I had taken that personally from my perfectionist point of view and thought, what is happening? There must be something wrong. She showed up today and she said, I have things going on. Thank you so much for your understanding. So I finally got her on the call. I gave her the structure, but also I showed understanding for what she was going through. So really, really important. I believe personally that these 4 types are really important to know who you have in front of you. Actually, both for, you're disappearing.
yeah, sorry, I'm disappearing into the fade.
Both for discovery call and actually also for your work with the client afterwards.
Definitely.
I had another experience with someone who didn't receive the Zoom link for our RT session because I think something I hadn't confirmed in 70 hats, and I sent it last minute and she showed up and I challenged her on that. She said, yep, I thought you were incompetent. I thought you were this and that. I said, okay, we had a great session, but after we understood what was lying behind this perfectionism. So it's really, really important to understand these different perceptions that people have. Okay, that was more than 2 minutes. So does that make sense? Are you seeing yourself in these types? What are you guys like? Tell me each one of them, starting with Ruchi. Tell me what's your primary type.
Perfectionist. That's me.
Yeah, I can see that. You asked me several times, when am I getting the link? Why don't I have the link?
No, it's not about you. I start having palpitations. Oh my God, I haven't got the link. So I'm like, yeah,
I know.
That's me.
I know.
That's just me.
I can relate to that. Sometimes I'm very much like that. So I know what it feels, and I'm sorry I caused you this kind of.
It's all right. No
agitation.
worries.
So, okay, Dave.
I would say mostly a carer.
Yeah.
Some people would say I'm probably the butterfly. Also,
You're definitely the butterfly.
Yeah.
And Kara, yeah, I would say both, the combination of the two.
I can definitely see the carer in you, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're such a nice, absolutely. So people who, I mean, yeah, you're both, I would say, maybe primarily Kara, then the butterfly. So both of those types are all about people. Down from the heart, they do what feels right to them. So they tend to be more kinesthetic if you look at it from a NLP point of view, if you will. So yeah, so it's all about the intuition and feeling and caring and doing what's right for them. So yeah. Mel, what 1 or 2?
I'm a little bit of all 4. I put myself down primarily as a caring butterfly, but I know for a fact regarding work, I'm perfectionist because I want it right. Just so.
I really like it. Caring butterfly.
I like
Very
that
nice.
too. Yeah.
and with regards to the commanding, I take charge if I feel like something's floating, I just take charge of it and make it happen.
Yeah.
It's just how I'm built. So
yeah.
Yes, a little bit of everything, I'm afraid, but primarily a caring butterfly.
Yeah, that's great. And I would, that's perfect. We ultimately, in terms of our own personal development and business development, even, we want to develop the positive traits of all of these 4 types. We want to be on time. We want to be organized in our business. We want to take the lead and move our business forward, or our therapy practice forward. We want to be caring with our clients and also want to be flexible, right? So ultimately, we want to develop all the positive traits in all 4 types. So that's great if you see all 4 of them in you. And then when it comes to dealing with clients, then you can spot them. So I challenge you guys to see, to observe people you communicate, even friends. It doesn't matter if it's a client, if you're not having discovery calls, just see that. See the organizedness, and also they're very analytical, the perfectionists. See the softness in the carers, the analytical mindset in the perfectionist, the desire to take leadership in the commander, and then the butterfly who is, yay, everything is fine. Okay, so has that been helpful so far?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so shall we move to objections? Is there anything you want to add?
No, I
here?
think that's perfect.
Yeah, okay. So Thomas here is struggling because he's a commander, and now I'm taking the lead, and he's like,
I'm
Waiting for his turn.
okay. So I have, let me just. So actually, I want to continue with, so Mel mentioned what the most typical objection likely would be. How do I go on holidays, or do I invest in this? So Ruchi and Dave, can you please share what you see? Ruchi,
Mhm.
you ladies first. Yeah, what do you,
Sure.
what, in your experience, what objections do you come up with?
Objections as in like people prioritizing other things over the session, is it?
Objections in a discovery call, yeah, saying, oh, I don't have
Mhm.
money, I don't know.
See, I'll tell you very honestly, I've only had a couple, so I don't have a huge experience. There's been only 2. So first of all, I think this lady, I think she'll be into the carer type. So her objection was like, she wasn't quite ready to invest in herself. So, that's a lot of money. And then, yeah, so somehow she wasn't the priority. And it was difficult to convince her that, see, if your cup is not full, how are you going to help somebody else? The mindset seemed more like, no, I come last. I have to come last. She just won't let it go. So, well, I brought out my carer, I brought out my perfectionist. Unfortunately, nothing worked. I thought I did a great deal, but she did not take up the session.
So, yes, sir.
The last thing I offered was like, normally I charge so and so, but I'll do the session for you for free. And if you could write a testimonial for me. And I think that's when she thought, oh, maybe I'm a scam or something. So yeah, didn't go so well.
Okay, so she didn't go through. She didn't even want it for free.
Why
No,
would you think
no.
you're a scammer for wanting to have a testimonial?
I don't know, because see, initially I thought that we are there to help, isn't it? So initially I thought maybe like, she's putting her last, she doesn't want to invest. Okay, that's fine. We can work on the beliefs in the session, but I really want to help her. I was like, okay, so what's a win-win situation? So the win-win is you have the session and I have the testimonial. And of course, I never say you have to write a testimonial straight away. You listen to the recording for 21 days. If you find the change what you were looking for, only then you write the testimonial, otherwise you don't. You're not obliged to write it. So yeah, I was a bit sad for a couple of days after that she did not take up on that, but I was like, yeah, I have learned to not take things personally. Yeah, that was it. What else? What was the other one? This other gentleman. Yeah, so we actually went ahead with the session. His objection, I think he was well, what can I say? 2 perfectionist meetings. So he wanted to know, like, what's my experience? How long have I done it? He wasn't very happy with the fact that I'm just starting out. But then I said, say, like, with the package of 3, if you find what you're looking for in the first package, I'm very happy to refund the next 2. That kind of got him in. And yeah, that went well. what was his objection? His main objection was he thought that I have just qualified, I don't have enough experience. So that was kind of, well, not, I would say, something kind of coming in the way of him getting through with it. Finally, he agreed and we did go ahead. Things went well. But
Because
yeah,
he was a
that
perfectionist
was,
and he was looking for your qualifications.
I believe so. I mean, I understand his point. Like, he's investing his time, his energy. So he has a valid point. I need to know, like, what you can do or can't do. So, yeah. Luckily, I had 2 testimonials. So if I didn't have that, I don't think he would have gotten ahead. Looking at that, he's like, okay, fine. There's a photo of somebody. They've written a testimonial. Okay, fine. So that's what got him in. And yeah,
Okay.
if that wasn't there, I
Was
don't
true.
think I could have reeled him in. Sorry, you're saying something?
No,
Yeah.
it's just you saying that you don't have the experience. You gather the experience getting the qualification because you're doing all the practicals and the practices.
Yes.
I think
That's what I used.
I think, how can I say, to say that it's more of like an active apprenticeship of training, because you're not just sat there reading books. You're physically doing, showing, demonstrating, getting constructively criticized throughout your training.
And I would say, I think I had like all the reflective partners. I mean, I know they already know RTT and everything, but I think it was still so much of a growth, not only when you're being the practitioner therapist, but even while you are being the client. So both ways you learn a lot. Yeah. So I did point it out, like, it's not just a theoretical thing, I think he was looking for somebody, I've been doing it for 20 years, somebody like Marissa Peer, I have done it for 35 years. So I was like,
you know what Marissa would say to that? Marissa would say, when you first start doing things, you've got all the enthusiasm and fire of that you're bringing to something that's brand new. Whereas if you've been doing it for 10, 20 years, you can get a little bit jaded.
Yeah, agree. Totally agree.
There's definitely that, and there's also you believing in yourself and stepping into a comfort zone, confidence. And when I was doing my non-reflective practice, I did a lot of free sessions before I graduated, and of course I wanted them well. And I was exhausted. I was 2-3 hour session. I was absolutely drained because I was putting all this effort. And you have this power, being the perfectionist, to be able to do this from an analytical point of view. I love how you kind of took all the types and you kind of already analyzed every one of your clients that you've already had contact with. And that's the power of the perfectionist, very analytical. So this is how you use RTT. So just believe that you can do this. And, all of us are very intelligent people, right? In the moment, we can decide what to do. So even if you don't have experience, just work on that self-belief and positioning yourself in your own mind as someone who's got a few years at least of experience behind you rather than 2 months or 1 month.
I'll tell you a personal experience from a reflective practice. I mean, there you're not really reeling in a client or something. So I think this particular person was a know-it-all. I find them really intimidating. Like, I kind of struggle to be my real, like, what can I say? Not real self, authentic self till about, for 15, 20, even half an hour in the session. Once kind of they reel down, they're okay, this person is all right to go ahead. Yeah. So that was, yeah, I do feel that. I think I feel a bit intimidated there. And then it takes a little while to come back in my
probably
own
happened
self.
with this. You're talking about the second client, right? The man you just described.
No, actually, this particular person was one of the people from the reflective practice.
Oh, okay.
So there, So there, I mean, they know what to expect, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, but think of somebody who is actually sitting there to like, oh, okay, I'll jot marks for what you're doing, kind of a thing. So you're only starting out. Maybe that was the reason I felt intimidated. But yeah, half an hour into the session, like, as you said, all they need is your love. So once you kind of like, help them, okay, I'm there, things will work. And then you can see the transitioning in a little while. And, so me hiding behind the back, then I'm like, okay, now I'm all right. Now I can be my normal self. So
Good.
initially, I'm like, okay, is that all right?
Beautiful what you said, right? That's exactly what happens. And I wanted to let you say, because I know you've been waiting. Yeah, that's what you probably met a perfectionist with a warrior commander, as Tom calls it. And that commander who wants to take lead, evaluate you, and tell you what you're doing wrong. and the carer feels intimidated by that kind of person. So like you said, yeah, like you rightly remember, all they need is your love. And once you're able to give them, they're like, oh, okay, I'm not, they are used to being controlled growing up. So now they want to be in control. And once you show them you have every positive intention and they kind of softened,
Slowly,
then you
yeah.
kind of balanced out. But see, so this is probably who you had, the perfectionist. Okay, fine, you can handle that because you have that in you. But then you're the carer as a secondary or second type, and you had this
Yeah.
intimidating type of, you know, what's happening here, evaluating you, and yeah. So you find out. So just keep this in mind. It can, I think, really help you that they need your love, and just wait, give them your love, and half an hour, like you said, it will calm down. Yeah. You want to say something? Half an hour ago, so sorry.
I think we've missed the moment.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. It was just from a while back. That was all.
Okay. Right. So is there anything else you want to share, Ruchi, on kind of objections? So far I have, you had the two types of, and I think these are all great examples. So the person who was a carer who wouldn't invest in herself, so remember what went wrong there. So remember what I said about the carer. They don't need more care. They already have that. They already give that to everybody else. They need strength.
Right. I'm trying to, got your point.
They need strength from you. They don't need two people who are caring, oh, I'm so caring, but we're afraid to move forward. They need strength from you in order to be able to move forward.
Can I ask a very quick question, Ruchi, and tell me if I'm out of bounds?
No
Did you try pitching it to her as a form of caring? Do this and you'll, you know, what, I don't know exactly what her context was, but far too many women around the world are taught that their primary role is to care for their families, to care for men. There's nothing wrong with choosing that role, but far too many people are expected to and are forced into it. Sometimes you start by, you'll all be familiar, I'm sure, with pacing and leading. Sometimes you have to start by pacing and saying, okay, I keep disappearing into the fade. Sometimes you start with pacing and saying, you know, whatever terms this person was using, you know, this is going to make you better able to do this. Whether it's about, you know, having everyone's school kit ready for sports kit ready for Wednesdays for school, or whether it's being able to care for elderly relatives, whatever it is, rather than convincing themselves to put themselves first, though frankly that could well be the ultimate goal, pitching it as this is a tool to make you a better carer. You are going to be able to do whatever it is they want to do better like by doing this. It's just an observation.
Yeah. That's really good.
No, that's really helpful. That's really helpful. So both of those points are really helpful. First of all, she was a carer, and I was trying to do the same thing all over again rather than giving her strength. And second thing is, like, you know, investment in yourself unfortunately worked the wrong way for her because she wasn't ready for it. You know, So you can be a better carer doing this. That's really helpful. I'm gonna jot that down.
And that's, I think, you probably agree with me, Tom, that it's the case with everyone. You always agree. That's also an objection handling, right? You always agree with them first. You don't try to convince them the opposite, because that just creates more resistance. Always agree, and then either present a different perspective if you can, or show them how your service, how your work, how your sessions can actually make them even better at what they do. Now, that's a commander point of view, because we want to be the best at everything, the commanders. But also, I think it will work in this case as well for the carer, because that's their primary value. So you need to work with, I keep disappearing as well. You need to work with people's values as well, right? So they value helping others.
Absolutely.
And that will make them better carer.
It's a bit of an odd metaphor, but Dara and I have been doing some work on self-defense recently in the physical sense of, you know, of physical self-defense, and some of the most effective techniques, this is something I've done for decades, and some of the most effective techniques are the ones that start by going along with whatever your opponent's doing and then turning them around. Things like jiu-jitsu, aikido. The aikido is probably the most iconic of these, and you don't meet the challenge head on, you go with it, and you let them keep going, and you use their force and turn them around. and it can be also does the least, it's not oppositional, and it does the least harm to them. So it is a caring technique. It might be a commander technique as well, but it is a caring technique, because you are doing,
Do the best of
if somebody
everything.
comes at me with a punch and I step to one side and punch them in the nose, that's going to do a lot more harm than if I just sort of take their arm out of the way and maybe gently put them over. That's going to do them a lot more physical harm. So a caring approach to get what you want while doing the least harm, and starting with what somebody says and going with their values. Again, I will never get tired of saying this. If you let anyone talk to you for long enough, they will tell you how to sell to them.
Yeah, which essentially is yeah. So it's all tying in together in the sense they tell you how to sell, meaning they tell you what they want. That's another phrase I love. You sell. Maybe I should remove this blurred background. You sell to people what they want, and then you give them what they need. I love that. So yeah, absolutely agree. You have to position in a way which is what she wants, and if she's a carer, she wants to help other people. So like Thomas said, you show how to be a better carer. If they're a leader, you show them how to be a better leader or better whatever it is, which is why it's important to find out about their personal. I think you have that kind of extra, how can I say, extra view on this, where you think that you need to find everything about the person. I think you don't need to know their dog's name, but yeah, because you find out what they want. And it's not just finding out just for the sake of finding out, right? It's really important, but finding out what they want. I think the 4 categories will help you decide on their primary values and then positioning in that way. Do you want to be a better carer? Do you want to be a better leader? Do you want to be more organized with your time so you fit everything in? Do you want to be, a better artist? Okay.
You can tell a lot about someone by what they call their dog.
Or kids, probably.
Or kids, yeah. People want to feel they have more freedom with what they name their dog there.
That's right. Yeah, there are no other people involved, potentially. Okay. So, Dave, would you like, shall we go? Was that help? Is that helping so far, guys? Is that maybe?
Yeah.
So I want to spend a few more minutes. I go to Dave now, a few more minutes discussing, and then we get to practicing. And of course, we'll discuss more as we go along.
Sounds
the
good.
Objections. So, Dave, what are the most common objections you encounter when you sell, when you're on a discovery call?
Yeah. I've been trying Facebook ads for the past few months, I found out I got some leads back, people responding, that they are interested in knowing more about what I do, but then when I try and respond back to them, either by calling them or texting them or what ever, they're never home. It doesn't matter what time you try to call. You can call in the morning, you can call in the afternoon, you can call at night. They're never home. So I have to record a message on their voicemail on their phone, or if you try to text them, you send them a text, and they don't respond back to that, So yeah, it's just like people, they have kind of a mild interest in what I do, but is not to the level of, yeah, I really want to a change, because I would think, if they would respond back to my email or my voicemails or my text, that would indicate there, that they're really serious about changing, but if they aren't even responding back, that seems to me like they aren't really all that interested in what I'm doing.
Okay, so that's new to what you shared last time. So thank you so much for sharing that. I think this goes back to what Mel was saying earlier, what I've seen a lot as well. Some people are just not willing to invest at this point. We're not willing to invest in our personal growth typically until the
Yeah.
pain gets pretty strong, right? So you may kind of play with the idea, yeah, that sounds like maybe I should have some therapy. Yeah, but you know, I'm doing fine.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
So this is why, again, it's important from a marketing point of view to have a mailing list and to keep people on your mailing list so that you can keep reminding them of yourself, so that when the pain gets strong enough, they say, oh, Dave does this, Dave can help me. This is why we do a mailing list. It's not so that we waste time doing marketing activities. It's so that we
Oh, I have that of course, you know, I've got about what 170 leads or something like
yeah,
that in Mailchimp, you know.
I know.
Um,
So, but you have to email them as well, which I know you've been doing with the webinar the other day. But
right.
you have to, it's about taking that consistent action. And it doesn't mean doing it 1,000 times a day or every day, but just making sure you show up regularly. And also give them useful content they can use so that you position yourself as an expert. So it's not just, oh, I'm Dave Scarborough here and I can help you. Like, well, there are many other therapists. Why should I work with you? So you need to say things, send things that position you as an expert. If it's trauma, the subject we discussed last night in your webinar. So Dave had a really good webinar last night. What I would say there, for example, yesterday you had some questions from people and you were like, oh yeah, well, do this other thing, like law of attraction. Well, give them back to what you want them to do. Get them back to what you want them to be, which is to book a session with you.
Yeah.
So don't get sidetracked, just giving advice. I've done this because you want to help. I get it. But get them back ultimately to what you want them to do, which is to book a call with you.
Yeah.
Which is why I told Kevin yesterday, it sounds like you're doing the right thing, but you need a session with Dave. To
Yeah.
find why you put that resistance there.
I contacted him, and we're going to have a session actually. So
Are you going to have a session? Is that a paid session?
we are, yeah.
Is that a paid session?
Yeah, paid.
Good.
Yeah, paid. I'm pretty sure it's paid. Yeah.
Good,
What do you-
good work.
Okay, I want to go back to that. I'm pretty sure it's paid.
I've given.
Are you married? I'm pretty sure.
I-
Let's go back to that.
Right. I've given away so many free sessions so far. You know, I'm like, wow. You know, is this going to be a paid one finally? You know.
Okay, so you agree that it's a paid session.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so make sure you take the payment before the session. Have you invoiced him
Before the
already?
session, right. Gotcha.
Yeah, so we can have a chat afterwards so we don't spend other people's time. But actually, this may be relevant to everyone. Before the session, you want to take payment and you want to have at least 24 hours or maybe 48 hours cancellation policy, which means if they cancel less time than that, you get to keep the money. It's your time. It's a missed opportunity if they cancel last minute, right? So that's why we do it. Right. What else do I want to say? Well, another thing I want to say is eliminate the word try from your vocabulary.
Yes.
I learned that from one of my many teachers and coaches, and I still sometimes do it. I catch myself do it. The words you say to yourself are just so important. So when you keep trying, you keep not doing it, right? So yeah, there's something I read in my newest hypnotherapy book yesterday. If you say, take a pen in your hand and say, I can drop the pen, I can drop the pen, I can drop the pen, I can drop, you actually will start squeezing it even tighter. Then say, I am dropping the pen, I am dropping the pen, I am dropping the pen, and it falls down. So try it. It's just what you say to your mind is what your subconscious mind, as we all know, takes it literally. So don't try. Trying is stuck in limbo. Okay, so people not responding. The other thing I'd say, I never not cold call. I mean, I understand they showed interest, but I wouldn't call them on the phone. I wouldn't like someone doing this to me. I've had people call me through the website from Google search, which is fine. You have to respond, but I wouldn't I don't like being on the receiving end of that. I don't like being a client and being called by someone. So I would message them, email them, message them again in a week and make sure they schedule a call. Again, like you said, maybe they're just not motivated enough. So you may offer them something for free, get them on that mailing list and just kind of nurture that relationship, because there are many reasons. Maybe they're not ready. Maybe they're not sure. People are scared of change. I mean, going through the process of RTT, EFT, whatever it is, can be scary.
Yeah.
People are uncomfortable with change, so it's understandable. And also, it may be just that they don't know you. They think, oh, he's seems like a nice guy, but then they forget because they actually don't know who you are. So it's important to find ways to nurture that relationship. Email list, webinars, social media, groups, nurture that relationship until they're ready and they know you and they say, yeah, that's my guy or my girl who can help me. Right?
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So in instead of trying to get them in a session right a way, I should try to get them on my list.
So I would say, yeah, you can do that. I mean, it depends. If they said, I'm interested in having a call with you,
Yeah.
then you can say, yeah, here's my booking link. You can book something here. If they are kind of not responding, that they can follow up in a few days.
Yeah.
And if they're still not responding, maybe in a few days or even with the same match, you can say, oh, by the way, I have this free. I mean, obviously you don't know. Let's say you don't know what they're after. You don't know if they're struggling with confidence, addictions, anxiety, depression. So it's kind of a shot in the dark, but you can say, would you like to join my Facebook group?
Yeah.
Invite them to join your Facebook group or to join or to download the free audio if you know they're struggling with confidence or anxiety, or what I think you have one on the I think you have a general relaxation meditation. So just see what may be suitable and offer them that as a second kind of a plan B. If they don't want to book a call with you, plan B is to get them on the list.
Yeah. Okay.
So you can potentially sell them at a later stage. But again, I do believe that speaking one-to-many via webinars, groups, Facebook groups is the best way by far, because then you leverage your time. Leverage your time, what's the word? Anyway, either works. And also you give people the opportunity to get to know you. Like yesterday, I mean, you booked 2 calls, one or two calls out of 5 or 6 people in one webinar. How much time do you need to spend chasing people for individual calls? So you definitely have leverage. And also they see you. We say people need to see us 7 times. In marketing, Google did some research years ago. Now with so much information, it's probably even more. You need to see us 7 times until they start to know, like, and trust us, and they want to work with us. Well, until they decide to work with us. That was the original research, 7 times. So once on Facebook, once on your mailing list, second time on Facebook, and so on. Once on your website, and so on. And Dave is sitting there thinking, oh my God, that's a lot of work. Well, yes and no. Yes and no. You have to consistently show up. Just show up, show up, show up, show up, show up, show up. That's what you have to do. Put content out there, and I understand for some of us it's easier to write or speak or neither. But as long as you show up and have that visibility, that is what I'm going to move you forward. Like if you sit there and say, I have no paying clients, well, where are they supposed to come from? Like they have to come from somewhere, right? People need to get to know you. So show up, show up, show up. And on social media as well as Dave, I know you do a lot of offline events, which is great. And stand in your power and get people back to circle them around to what you want them to do, which is to book a call with you, a consultation call with you. Don't just help. I always say, invite you to book a call with me. Yes, Thomas.
No, all I was going to say is that unfortunately, sales really is a pyramid. As much as we want to, we will never get away from that. We can follow advice like the excellent advice Dare gives, and we can make that pyramid a bit narrower. But fundamentally, sales is always going to be a pyramid.
Oh,
Yeah, so many people will tell you that, yeah, it's a numbers game. I never like, as a therapist, of course, I don't like that term numbers game, because we like to see humans as humans. But there is truth in the fact that some people will like you and some people just won't book for whatever reason. And that's okay. So that's the other thing. You cannot take it personally, ever.
Yeah. Right.
Ever. The only thing you can do is learn from that. What did I do right? What did I do wrong? So I suggest record, in the beginning at least, record your discovery calls and listen to them after, as painful as that may be initially, and analyze and see what you've done right.
Yeah.
Yes, Ruchi.
Right. I just wanted to ask. So I've got a Facebook business page, and then, when the inquiries come in, let's say there are 4 or 5 inquiries, and they say, oh, I would like to know more about your services or something. And then, I detail around saying, like, what I do, what I offer. And is that the right way to do? Some people just don't bother to respond at all. So I'm feeling like, have I written anything that has put them off? Because initially they're saying that, I'm interested in booking a session with you. So I'm telling them how it works, first there's a discovery call, and, what is RTT as much as I can. But that's it. There's no reply. And I'm thinking, okay, no, I don't know. Should I be chasing it up, or will they be thinking like, oh, why are you bothering me? Because I did not go to them. They found me on Facebook. They messaged me that they are interested in a session. And then I'm just telling them, because see, I mean, obviously you cannot book a session straight away. So I was like, see, discovery call is obligation free. And it is more about, are we the right fit, and all the other things that you say, and bullet points, so that it doesn't take too much of their time. And then there's no response.
What's
So
the
I'm
bullet
thinking,
point about? What are you describing in that message?
See, I try to keep it very swift, so that, like, they don't have to like read. So I'll post a RTT link, because most people are like, what is RTT? They're not interested in RTT. They're interested in what results I can give. So a brief description about what I can provide you with, what is RTT, discovery call, 20 minutes, and what the session looks like. And normally it would be a package of 3 and a little bit more interesting stuff. Maybe I should make it more interesting. Maybe they just get bored and not interested.
So I want you to imagine for a second that you're on the receiving end of this, and you're the client who has found a practitioner, has found her content interesting, and kind of have a problem, not quite sure if you're there yet, and you send her a message like they do to you, and then you get this message. What's your thought? What's your first reaction?
I mean, to be really honest, rather than thinking in their head, in my head, I'm thinking I've definitely done something majorly wrong, because this person was really interested in working with me, and I have written something that has put them off completely. And I've made it very clear, like, say it's the discovery call is obligation free. You're not like, oh no, now you've had the discovery call and you have to book a session with me. One advice I came across was, rather than writing all that, if I book myself in a video, so voice and them seeing my face is more personal. So saying all of those things, but then seeing that might create more of an impact. That was one thing I came across. So currently there are 5 people who came on. I told them what to do, and they just ghosted me completely.
All of them. So I would say, I think that the first thing that comes to me is that you have to keep it shorter. So take it so step by step. So instead of listing the whole procedure and instruction manual before they even know what they want exactly, just say, hi, great to meet you. Thanks so much for contacting me. What is it that you'd like to work on? The first step is to book a free consultation call to understand what it is you are looking for help with, and to see if I'm the right fit for you, or if you're the right fit. So however you prefer to say it. So I would.
But then if they say, what services do you offer? Like, how do you, like, you would explain a bit, wouldn't you? I mean, I think so.
So to
like
say
an elevator pitch type level that you're looking for. You know,
Uh-huh.
you know what the Americans called an elevator pitch. You know, just that as something that you can say fast enough from floor 0 to floor 5. Oh, I use hypnotherapy to help you get blah blah blah, and
Keep it short. Keep it short, right?
Definitely
Yeah.
keep it short.
Right.
just that you would be able to get
Okay.
in that
Mm.
elevator time, for want of a better word.
I'm just going to jump in with something there, because I am going back to Daya's client types. I am, as we said, I'm a commander. I am very, very much not a perfectionist. I think perfectionist is probably the single group I struggle with the most. And I'm going to be honest, what you just said to me was really perfectionist.
Yeah.
You
that's
are
true.
trying to hone down on, okay, it didn't work. I must have done something wrong. This didn't work, so I've done something wrong. That is not necessarily the case. You can do everything right. Remember, this is about matching to somebody else. You are working with very little information when all they've done is tick you. You say they're enthusiastic about working with you, but that may be true, it may not. Some people naturally come across as enthusiastic. You know, for someone who has any kind of reluctance to do this, the first stages are the easy part. It gets harder as it goes on. Now, I do definitely agree, obviously, with what Daya says. I think keep it nice and short. You know, I use RTT. It's a hypnotherapy-based technique, and it gets people over blocks. It gets people over, and if you can play back to them something they've said to you, even better.
But see, that's the problem. Like, this is just like, you know, for example, with the Facebook page, I've got this statement, you know, there was one person saying, oh, I would like to book a session with you. And then there's another one, which was, what services do you offer? So they're like 4 or 5 things. Now, you're quite right. Yes, you know, that's me. Oh, I have done something wrong. But then 5 people, and like, no, they should have some interest that they came, like, they themselves came and wanted to find out more. So I just thought that maybe I could have put it in a different way, or
I do. I mean, I think that's the shortness of it. I think actually, to be frank, where I thought you were going with this perfectionist kind of statement, Thomas, is I thought you would say that the way she laid it out sounds like something a perfectionist would do. All the details. All the details.
Because I think that's how I would like it. Possibly that's why I do it that way. Because if, say, I'm buying something from someone, and if I ask, oh, what do you do? So the more descriptive they are, like not like long essays, but like, okay, so I provide this, and this. This is the time you would need. And of course, you don't mention anything about fees or anything. That's left out to the discovery call. But yeah, but maybe I'm not really looking for me. I'm looking for people to, Okay.
Yeah, I think you need to find, I think that's the key there that we keep coming back to. You need to find out more about the person in front of you and whether they're perfectionist, commander, care, etc.
But how do you do with like one statement? Like, how do I get to know them there? Like,
with one statement, what services do you offer? Okay, that's not much information. That's why you get them on a call. So ideally, you say, okay, what you can. I love what Mel suggested. You can provide your pitch if you think that's suitable. I don't often use a pitch statement because to me, it's a little bit too kind of, it looks a bit too.
I don't mean like a closed-ended pitch, Daya. I mean just a statement that gets them to the next question. Basically, they're asking for more information, and what Ruchi needs is for them to hear what she says and to come back for more, ideally a discovery call. So if you can put what you're doing into as few words,
smaller gist rather than
ground floor to ground 5. Oh, I'm Ruchi, I'm a hypnotherapist. In 1 to 3 sessions, I get you over your barriers and onto whatever you're curing them of. I don't know what your niche is, Ruchi, but you see what I mean? If you like to know more,
I got your point.
Let's have a proper chat. It's
not everybody wants to have, like, you know, that much information. Maybe they want to be more engaged in the conversation and then decide whether they want to go ahead.
Well, definitely they want a therapist who can listen, right? For sure. So definitely they want to be engaged, and maybe that's too much information in one go, and too much. Okay, book this, and I go, oh, I'm not even sure if I want to do this yet. and you're giving me all these steps. It's okay.
Right.
It's fine. It's
Okay.
everything is okay. We are learning here. That's why you're here on this call. If you knew how to do it perfectly, you wouldn't be here today, right? So it's all a learning process, and you fine tune it as you go based on how you feel about it and how your clients feel about it. There are many ways to do things. That's what I always say. Some people will say, oh, yeah, just contact as many people as you can and just kind of do all the salesy things. For me, that doesn't work. So for some people, it does. So I would say do webinars, but I'm not going to impose that on you because I understand for some people, it's not the right thing. Other thing I want to say is that the ugly truth is that as a woman, you may sometimes get messages from people who are not looking for therapy and they just want to engage.
That's me and my messenger, just permanently blocked with nonsense.
And they will contact you in the business page, personal page. They don't know the difference. And yeah, I've had messages like this, well, what services do you offer? And then when you start a conversation, actually, maybe that's exactly the case. So maybe you even did nothing wrong. Maybe that's the kind of people we unfortunately got.
But then out of those 5 people, there were 4 women. So
Oh,
there was
okay.
only one guy. The other, yeah.
Good. Okay.
No, I get your point. But yeah, that's
good. So maybe, so what did they say? Was it all what services do you offer? Or was there another statement?
So what happens is, like, when they go to the business page, I think there are 4 options. They're just automated. So if they're wanting to get in touch with me, one is, can I book a session with you? The other one is, what services do you offer? The third one is, so just 4 things. So it's like a automated thing. You click on that and that comes. And then I engage with them, or I was so naive. The first time I got the inquiries, I was jumping around thinking, that's it. I've got it. And now the discovery call, and then I'm looking at my calendar when I can book the session. And then, you get to.
I've been there.
Rushi, what's your niche?
My niche. Well, I'm working around autoimmune diseases, but then I was told that it's too wide. So I posted in the alumni group, just wanted to know, like, what are the kind of autoimmune diseases people have actually had results with? Because if I say autoimmune diseases, people are like, okay, which ones? So what I found was irritable bowel disease, IBD, and rheumatoid arthritis. These were the 2 where people said that once you do a session, there was almost like complete elimination. People found their power of belief and their commitment is equally important, but there might be other things where I go in wanting to help and nothing might come out. I'll just summarize. My interest in that came from my best friend of 15 years. She suffers from vitiligo on her face. So it's like a white patch with complete discoloration. So I've seen the plight she goes through. Unfortunately, with medicines, it's quite symptomatic, just symptom relief. You can't get rid of it completely. So that's what drove my interest to it. There was one particular person who suffered with vitiligo themselves, and through the comments and things, they were very happy to have a call with me. I talked to them, and their personal experience was with RTT, they found the root cause of what was causing it. So how that helped them is, let's say that particular trigger is coming in, so they can work on it and they can make sure that the vitiligo doesn't get worse. But that person did not feel that made their vitiligo go away completely. Now, my problem is, if I recommend somebody something, I need to have the power of belief to completely say that, yes, I can help you with this. If I'm shaky or, not sure about it. So that's why.
Sorry, go.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
What have you experienced that you have overcome in the past? And I don't want to niching because I want to move the objections, but yeah, really briefly, what have you experienced that you haven't overcome in the past? Particularly with
I didn't quite catch the question.
What have you struggled?
What have I struggled? Or the patient or client? I didn't quite
as a person.
What have I struggled? As a person. Okay, right. What have I struggled? Well, I think I struggle with confidence in certain situations.
So now
it's not all the time.
Ask you a different question. You haven't had an autoimmune disease?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, the whole thing came from my best friend suffering from it, and so I thought I knew it close enough. Yeah, that's what made me think about it. Other than that, I mean, I'm not completely sure what my niche is yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm working around it.
Yeah, and that's okay. So I just want to go back to those 5 inquiries you got, because if 4 are from women, they're likely um
Genuinely interested. That's what I
genuine
thought. Yeah.
interest. So
Yes.
what you can do at this point is I would follow up with them. I don't know how far in the past they were, but I would definitely follow up with a very brief kind of sentence statement saying, hi, are you still would you still be interested in booking a discovery call, free consultation call with me? And I would generally start with that. I would always, before that long message, I would have brought it back to them and say, what is it that you were looking to resolve? Maybe it's something you don't want to work with.
Good conversation.
Get the conversation going.
Right.
So I think you first is, before giving them your agenda on how to book a call and how to everything, you want to build rapport, you want to build that relationship. But that's okay, that's the type of person you are. But I think even if you encounter a perfectionist who likes those calls, they'll be like, well, I still don't know you, right? I don't know, everyone, whatever category they fall into, I think the relationship comes first.
Right. No, that makes sense. So I think what I understood from all your insightful statements, and thank you, Mel, as well, very much, is like, first of all, I need to make it brief. Second, like, you engage in a conversation rather than give all of it. So they need to know who they are working with, develop a rapport first, and then go ahead. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
And the ultimate goal at this stage, so you always, at everything you do, whether it's a discovery call or session, you need to know your desired outcome. Sorry, Mel, just 1 second. So your desired outcome when you have a messenger conversation is to get them to a discovery call. Your desired outcome when your discovery call is to book a session. If not, I think we talked about it. So you talked about this before, Thomas, the minimum level of commitment you want them to make. Maybe they're not ready for a session. That's okay. So what is it that you want them to leave the call with for sure? What's the level of commitment, the minimum level of commitment that will make this call successful? Maybe it's to get on your mailing list. Maybe it's to follow up in 3 weeks' time. I can't remember. Maybe I'm stealing. I don't know if
no, I agree.
I think, so what's the minimum level of commitment? Your ideal outcome and your minimum. No, I think you told me this in a different setting. Yes, ideal and minimum level of commitment on discovery call. But in a message conversation, your desired outcome is to get them on a call.
I might talk about it in the context of negotiating, where we talk about something called a BATNA, or best alternative to a negotiated agreement. So
yeah, maybe.
What is the level without which I might as well just scrap this?
Yeah, exactly. With which, So there's always, in sales, we say there's always has to be a commitment from the client, not from you, to do something. You commit to meet them again, they send you something, or maybe you send them an email, but then they have to respond to you. So a commitment for them to do something. That's how you move the sale forward. Mel, sorry.
That's all right. I was just going to say the services question that bothered you in the first place. I use hypnotherapy to alleviate or eliminate your irritable back roller or your rheumatoid arthritis in 1 to 3 sessions. If you'd like to know more, let's book a discovery call. That's literally this big.
That's very helpful, but I don't know what they're coming for. They haven't mentioned it. Yes,
they're asking you about the services. So what are you advertising on your page?
So it's a range of conditions.
Point.
And
that is, if that's what you're saying on your page, come to me for IBD, come for me for rheumatoid arthritis, then a simple sentence that says what your services are is, I use hypnotherapy to alleviate or eliminate your, in 1 to 3 sessions. If you'd like to know more, let's chat. Let's have a call. Let's do a discovery. That's
really
right. Yeah, that's very helpful. Yeah.
And if they disappear after that, they probably are not ready. They're not your client, whatever. So that's really good. I will write that down right now and use that in the future. And for those you've already messaged, I would follow up. Maybe again say something along those lines, because maybe they, sometimes I don't read a long email or a long post. I just don't have
Mm.
the time and the attention span to read it.
I almost never do.
So some people will look at the long message and say, no, like, oh,
Too
Yeah.
much.
and disappear. Yeah.
me. I read the first paragraph, and if that doesn't tell me what I want to know, then this person isn't for me. They're exceptions.
Which is why, very important, right?
Mhm.
Down all of you guys, in an email, post, everything, you always have a what? Postscriptum, PS. In the PS, you actually tell them what you want them to do, because people skip all the way to the end. They read a PS and kind of maybe skim through the message, and maybe they read it. So in the PS, you can write something that's actually really important. In my PS, in my emails, I have a book a call, I believe, usually. Or if it's a messenger conversation, it could be, I would say, what is it that you like to work on?
Mhm.
Or maybe, I mean, in this case, we're talking about the short message now, but yeah, if it has to be a long email or message, have a PS. But I like mail suggestions, it's brilliant. So I would use that.
Mm.
Okay, so objections. Is there anything else? So before the objections come at the very end when we are closing the sale. So there is a difference between selling and closing. And I wanted to discuss some objections because they tend to be the most painful thing for us therapists, because we build a rapport, we create the connect, we explain with passion what we do, we explain how we can help, and then they say, how much is that? And then we say, whatever, 900 pounds, 600 pounds, or 300 pounds for one session. And then they say, oh, that's too much. So objections, really important. Before we move on to objections, is there anything else that you would like to say? Yeah, Mel.
There's just two main questions that I've got that's come up so far. The first one was around the types. And I'd like to just quickly jot down kind of like the origin of each of the types. I think you said that, what was it? That the controlling people have been controlled. The perfectionist people, have always been told they need to try harder. The carers are people who've always been made responsible for others. Where do the butterflies come from?
I would say the butterflies are the people who, if you visualize and be a person who is an artist or someone with ADHD, they hate being trapped. So I have a client who grew up with 2 narcissistic parents, and I can see how she's all over the place. She's the one I mentioned earlier. She kind of disappeared for 2 weeks, and then we got on the call. She was very grateful, and it was great. But she grew up with these 2 narcissistic parents. You can imagine you have no boundaries. No kind of sense of self, so you want to be free. They want to be free. Another client I have, I can think of, who's a butterfly completely. She actually calls herself a butterfly. She similar thing. Her childhood was so it was just crazy that she felt trapped in her kind of situation. So they want to be free. And I think it's not just there's something innate in the personality types, I think, as well. It's not just the environment we grew up in, it's a combination of the 2 things. So if you have this kind of creative spirit, free spirit, and then you feel trapped, you will start to be all over the place. You don't want to commit to anything. So never try to tie them down.
Okay. I think the other thing that has come up in my mind a couple of times is the length of the calls. Basically, I think when Marissa first started doing this, she was selling her sessions as individual sessions, and 20 minutes or half an hour to book a call that's a couple of £100. It's not undue, but I'm thinking more of selling packages, and I can't see me selling something, I don't know, £1,000, £1,500 in 20 minutes. I think it's more of I think it needs more. And I just wanted to know what your views were on that.
Yes, absolutely. So that's really a half an hour conversation. If you're selling high ticket items such as 1.5, 2,000,
Like a 12-week program, for example.
yeah,
My
12
ideal middle package would be a 12-week program.
Yeah. So I would budget an hour. Even if I would budget an hour, book the call for 30 minutes or 45 minutes. But you don't want to say to the potential client, oh, I got to go now. Bye.
No, that's it.
So
and I don't think anybody would spend that much money in 20 minutes. Well, very few people.
They have to have seen you a few times, right? And almost to a point where they start chasing you. I mean, with my high ticket programs, usually, people start coming to me because they've seen different things, content or whatever. I remember the last thing I bought, which was very expensive. Because I'm a perfectionist, I do a lot of research and I make decisions. I cannot make a decision in 20 minutes. No way. I need to sleep on it. So I liked the website of the person. I like her content. I had been following her for a while. I was eyeing that program, but I wasn't sure. It was a lot of money. And then I booked I think it was actually 3 sessions, a package of 3 sessions. So you have to offer that as well, I think, as an option. It's good to have a variety of products, packages, programs. So I booked that package of 3 sessions on a different topic. I worked with her, said, okay, yeah, she knows what she's talking about. I like her. And then when I was ready, both financially and in my mindset and so on, I bought the program. So I took it slow. And you'll find probably the perfectionist type will go that way. Some people, also it's a cultural thing. Oh, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
It tends to be a cultural thing as well. So depending on where people come from in the world, in the UK, I think we're a little bit more hard to sell to. The US may potentially be easier. Also, things tend to be more expensive there. Our insurance doesn't cover the US, which, I'm taking risks with that because balance or whatever they're called, don't cover the US and Canada. So that's a different issue.
You can ask for it separately though, if you want.
Yeah, that's true. I'll have to ask for it actually, but I don't know if it's.
If you were getting it often enough, I'd say all you need to do is send them an email saying, I'm taking clients in the US and Canada. Can you
they just added
include this in my policy? And if there is an extra cost or if there is anything that's going to come with it, they'll let you know.
Yeah.
I think you have to flag it with them in writing. Because my control, I don't know what you call mentor type person, he does working with Canadians and Americans, and he's with Balance.
Yeah. So thank you. So yeah, I'll write them. I'll write them and see what they say. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's not going to be a 20-minute call. Maybe it's a 1-hour call. Very likely, that's one of the objections I want to cover today. They may say, "Oh, that's a lot of money. I need to think about it." So what I've been taught and what I say is I understand completely that I would want to do the same thing, right? It's a big investment. If that's the language you're going to use. I would want to sleep on it too. And then you always follow up. And then what you want to get off the call with is a follow-up call. If they genuinely don't have any money, which happens, if we feel that it's completely genuine, although that's a skill I think you develop as you go, whether it's genuine or they can go on holidays next month, then you can send them to free resources and so on. So that's why you need to have variety. But yes, it's not a short call. It's not a 20-minute call. I've had that. I've had someone buy over $1,000 in maybe actually it was an hour. Yeah, never had anyone. And I've never seen her. She had seen me because she had followed me on social media. So again, the importance of showing up. I'd never seen her before and she bought right there. Yes, Ruchi.
I'll just come up with the example. I mean, most recently, Marissa was selling Dietless Life. So if you remember, she did a whole 1-hour masterclass on that to give you idea and purchase it. So because she's selling a package, I think it was still an hour. She did not try to sell it in half an hour or a 20-minute call. So I just thought of it as an example. And yeah, as Dia rightly said,
And that
even
was for
myself,
£300. So think that's for £300. So if you imagine if it was
Exactly.
£1,500.
No, same here. I would want to have all the information. I'll sleep on it and I'll make my pros and cons list, and then I'll go ahead with it. So yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah.
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 It's also, a lot of it comes from your own perception.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think that £1,500, £1,500 is a lot of money, then
Mm-hmm.
follow your clients and we'll attract that kind of people. If you think
Mm.
that's not, I mean, that's something that's worth investing in your health. And again, depending on who you're targeting people who are, I think, about 50, 60 and so on. The amount of money I spent within one summer on my health, mental health, when I was in corporate, is like, yeah, it was several £1,000s within 1 month. So that was way before Marissa, way before all of that. So people have more money than we usually think.
That's good to know.
No, and I don't want to make it inhibitive, but I guess I'm thinking about 17 hats, and I think it needs to be an hour in the system.
For a high ticket, I agree. I would agree.
I'm just going to throw in a thought here. I'm very much in favor of, as long as you're confident that this is still a realistic prospect, this client, take the time you need. You know, if that's second.
No, nothing. Go ahead.
If that's half an hour, if that's an hour, then that's what it is. I generally buy from people who seem relaxed. I'm allergic to being sold to, which is ironic given what I do. I'm allergic to being sold to. I had somebody try to sell me a product a few months ago. Product was good. It would have been relevant to me. Price point was a bit more than I wanted to pay for it. But that person started to get urgent. They started to get pressing at the end of the call. And I eventually said to them, look, I appreciate where you're coming from. The product was of some interest to me, but because of the way you're selling it, I don't want to do business with you. I'm going to end this call now. And I did. I ended the call halfway through whatever they were saying next, because they were trying to push me, because they were trying to press me. And I think if you are dealing, as I suspect you will, primarily with people who want to see a carer in you, people who you are therapists.
I can say I'm not even capable of pushing it in that way, because I literally want them to come to me. I am aiming that they will come to me. So I can't turn that around in 20 minutes.
For the space. If they want to say high ticket programs, and you want them to come to you, take the time to position yourself as an expert. You do that by showing up consistently, again, putting out one-to-many content, group works, webinars, and so on, and really standing in your power. Like really.
No, I hear you, and I know there's loads of layers of foundations to go, but
yeah,
I was just clarifying that point because
that's a good one.
I think 20 minutes is just,
you could have
what I'm aiming for. It's not going to make sense.
So
I agree. You
could have two different, if you're thinking from practical point of view, which is the perfectionist in you, you're thinking about 70, which is great, it's a compliment. The 70 hats, you can have two different appointment types. Let's say you have a 12-week confidence program. You can, to your website, we can link your 30-minute call, let's say on your main page. And on the page which presents your 12-week program, we can have a different link to a you can look the same, but it links to a different 70 hats appointment type, which is 1 hour.
Yeah, I think it's going to need to be something along those lines there, because and in the maths in my head doesn't add up, and 20 minutes was never enough for me anyway. I talk too much for 20 minutes.
I agree. I mean, half an hour is never enough. Yeah, I also find half an hour is, unless you feel there's no rapport, no connection, and maybe even you yourself genuinely don't want to work with that person, you don't care, then yeah, maybe half an hour you can let them go. But if you want to build that connection, I
think you'd know in minutes, and I would never keep somebody if there wasn't. How can I put it? If I know it's a no-brainer, then I would let them go anytime they wanted to go, to be honest.
Yeah, you don't keep them. People want to be polite and they stay there and you stay there and you know there's no connection, but you both stay.
No,
and-
I'd probably say something along the lines of, this doesn't seem like it's sounding like a good fit for you. Thank you so much for having a chat, but
Which, if they start resisting you, that can be a great sales tactic, because rejection breeds obsession.
no, I don't mean to get them. No, I don't need that. All I'm thinking is I wouldn't want to waste anybody's time, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I know.
Not mine, not theirs.
I think the key to selling is not selling.
Exactly, it's attracting. So for me, I'm not at the point where I'm attracting the discovery calls. So I've got more foundations to do. You know, that's all there is to it. But bit by bit.
Yeah, when you have qualified people, meaning people who know what you do, they have seen you 7, 10, 12 times, they're motivated to, you know, they have the means. And how do you know? Maybe you have an application form for the program.
Thank you, sir.
So that's something you may want to consider, or a pre-call question. I think one of my clients and the practitioners has a it's kind of like an
I asked for pre-questions on one of them, and I think we came to the conclusion, because at the time I was worried that there might be people just saying, oh, I'll have a call, and then mucking me around, but I don't think that is going to be the case, given how, well, not at the moment anyway. I'm curious.
You fine tune as you go along, but yes, definitely a longer call for a high ticket program. I agree. Half an hour won't be enough. Absolutely. And also more showing up, more positioning for high ticket programs. That's the other thing. And more self-belief, really. It all also comes down to self-belief.
That's a big one.
That is a big one, yeah. Even if you are still working on that, at least for that 20, so half an hour, 1 hour call, just pretend. So that's the only time I would say fake it till you make it, or act as if, or all that. So for that half an hour, 1 hour, even if you have no money in the bank account, just imagine that you have $1 million in the bank account. Because if you come from a place of neediness, it's not going to work. So if you come from a place of, well, I'm not sure I have the confidence, the experience.
I don't think that one's me though, Dea. I'm not scared of the call. I'm having more bother getting the calls. It's the other way around. I think I can talk for England if I need to. It's not.
Yeah, it's about listening though.
No, I can listen for England. I can do both of those things. I'm doing RTC as well.
Yeah, I meant to say that more.
What I'm trying to say is, I'm less scared of the call and more concerned that I'm not getting the calls.
Okay, well, okay.
So that's where I'm at.
So for you, Mel, the next step, because you're putting out great content, you're building out awareness, you're doing that regularly, you enjoy it, and that's great. You need to build the second step, which is the B, which is the bribe. So remember the 7 steps out of the AEBC, made it very, very simple: awareness, bribe, conversation, or conversion, which should be equivalent in our case. So now you need to get them to that mailing list, or to a webinar, or to a group session, or something like that, which serves 2 purposes. One, they get to see even more of you, because at the moment they see your picture maybe and your text. They don't know how you sound. As we know, what percentage of communication is body language?
90.
Say again?
90% plus.
Yeah, it's 80%. That's what we say. That's the words. So they need to see how you move, how you come across, what energy you give out. You know, however they put it, depending on what they are, how many what do you call that? Qualifications you have behind your wall, on your wall behind you. Some people may. I mean, I think that's off-putting, but some people will like that. Do you like that, Thomas?
No, that doesn't really. That's never really done much for me.
But for some people, it may matter. So, which is why, once again, it's very important to know your clients. So I think in every niche, in every kind of personality type, in terms of confidence, in terms of I mean, target audience, you will encounter the 4 or something of the 4 types. If you work with ADHD people, most people have the butterfly in them. So you need to know how to work with that. If you work with corporate people, very analytical, perfectionist. So you need to be to the point, on time, etc. But I think for most niches, you see the 4 kinds, but still there is like a type, their type, how to talk, what they expect to see. So this is how you tailor your content. But yeah, for you, Mel, the next step is the bribe. Get them on a webinar, get them to see you in more than just pictures and words. Shall we do some objections handling?
Absolutely.
So I have a list of objections here, but actually you guys gave me some great objections today. So Mel said, why invest in myself as opposed to go on holidays? Ruchi said, I want to take care of other people, not invest in myself. That was one of the clients. And the other one was questioning your experience, which is a big one for people starting out. With the experience, I personally think that's on you. So you need to believe in yourself, even if you graduated 2 months ago. So draw on your past, whatever it is, to kind of say, yes, I can do this because of my experience.
I'm going to throw something in here and very happy to continue this in a separate conversation if that's easier. But a lot of my background is politics. And in politics, we spend a lot of time working out how to say something in a way that presents our point as clearly as possible, even if it's not how you would intuitively do it. So you might not want to answer the question, how many paid sessions have you done since you qualified? If you don't, then you shouldn't be framing it as, here's when I qualified. I've been doing this for 3 years. If you've been doing 2 years of training and a year of practice, for example, or I have done over 20 sessions of this.
I've done over 20 sessions, yeah.
It's all about the phrasing. And I say very happy to have a separate conversation because I don't want it to take over now, but it's all about the
That's
phrasing.
very important. It's good.
That's something we do a lot of, obviously.
So here's a question based on, I think I take that from how we sell in terms of discounts. Would you go with a higher number? So for example, if you have 2 years of experience, go with the 2 years. If you have done 20 sessions but 2 months, go with the sessions or something like that.
Yeah, I would look at it and think, which of these sounds
better,
most impressive?
Yeah.
Which of these sounds like it's going to have, obviously you're only telling the truth, but there are lots of truths out there. Which truth is going to have the biggest impact? So we do this a lot with government announcements. I have to say, if you're in the UK, the current government has got a little bit fast and loose with the only tell the truth part, but certainly back in the day when I was doing the stuff, you were absolutely anchored to the truth, but you wanted to express the truth in a way. So if you were undertaking, for example, 5 rail renovation works, but the total cost of those was 500 million, you would probably say, you would lead with 500 million. We are spending 500 million pounds renovating the railways rather than we are renovating 5 different sites. It's a matter of judgment, which sounds more impactful. There might be certain circumstances where 5 different sites is actually going to sound better. So there is an element of judgment to it, but yes, sift through, look at all the different ways of saying it, and look at, okay, sorry, I'm flashing in and out. And then, okay, which one of these sounds most impressive? People talk about government communications as spin. Spin basically is turning something around so that you can see every side of it. That's what we try and do. We want to show you every side of it. So the side that has the most impact on you is going to be exposed to you at some point.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It does, yeah.
When I ask, does that make sense, by the way, it's a verbal tick I have. It doesn't mean I don't think you're capable of comprehending. It means I worry about my ability to explain.
No, it's not that. Well, basically when you're saying it, like, I'm trying to take it all in, and yeah, it does make sense to me. for example, in my opinion, I think I was just kind of mirroring my own belief to that other person, because I'm thinking, oh, it's just been 2 months since I graduated, and I think they're just giving that back to me. But if I have this powerful belief, oh, I've done more than 20 sessions and I've received phenomenal feedback from my reflective practice partners, that boosts my belief in myself. Yeah, no, that really makes sense, because that changes even how I think. I'm not thinking, oh, I graduated 2 months back. No, I have done this many sessions with really good feedback. Yeah.
And
And I
just
wouldn't
what,
even call it feedback with really good results.
yeah,
Yes,
and I
yes,
wouldn't
yes.
call them reflective practice partners.
Oh,
I
yeah,
would call
no.
them the people I've worked with. I've had great feedback from the people I've worked with, the people I've used this technique
Right.
with. And I say, I wouldn't call it, I have great results with the people I've
Results, yeah.
used this technique
And
with.
Right.
even come up for your own sake with a few examples. So what was good about yours? Do you, but first of all, experience and everything else aside, do you believe you're a good therapist, Ruchi?
Yes, I do.
Excellent. Okay, what do
Yeah.
you think makes you a good therapist?
I can really deeply connect to people. Like, for some people, like, I can really catch the vibe. So say, especially when you're working on Zoom, you're not in a face-to-face contact. So catching the vibe, making the other person feel comfortable, because how I think about it is, you're meeting a stranger who you're going to tell all about your childhood and what went right and what went wrong. They're going to dive really, really deep in, possibly some things you never even told anyone. So I always use the statement in, like, while I'm going through the intake, or, in that, I'm really, really thankful that you trusted me to tell me all of this. And you can see that sudden shift in that expression. So yeah, I think I connect very well. And
Like to hear it. Mhm.
yeah. Now, listening well is, I would say, wasn't my best thing. Like, I'm somebody, I want to interject and say what, but then, sit back and listen, because that helps people open up more. So that is more of a learned thing rather than something I already had. But I would say I can empathize, I connect very well. And before the starting of the session and when we end the session, you can just feel the depth of connection you have with that person. And when they say, oh, I feel completely changed, no, they're not just saying it, I can feel it too. So what I really, really, really enjoy about the session is, it's not like in a workplace, they might be, I don't know, suffering with whatever. You're like, oh, how is the day? Oh, amazing. Oh, wonderful. No, you connect on the deepest level possible and you're actually making a change. So that gives me true fulfillment. Yeah, that's the whole reason I want to go further with it.
Ooh, that was great. That is what people need to hear. Yeah, I think that deserves actually an applause. I love it. It was like a speech. I want to work with you now. Honestly, the way
Because see, that's the problem now, because I am like in my space, I'm feeling really comfortable with all of you. So, that's my true self shining. But if the other person is like, that's the problem with wives. If I'm feeling not so much myself, like, then that doesn't come. So somebody's like, oh, what's your qualifications? What's this, what that? Then somehow I take a step back. I cannot shine my whole light out. So I want to stop doing that. Like, other people don't control like what I say or not say. I'm just myself. You like it, great. You don't like it, that's fine as well.
yeah.
So I'm working on that. I think the other person's wife decides, like right now, I'm totally like, my full game on. I'm really happy with all of you guys. And therefore, well, you see, that's me.
Yeah. Okay. So a couple of things. Thank you so much for this. I actually have another question for you, which is about the results you get. But I want to say, this is the kind of state you need to be in before every call. And yeah, you don't know who's in front of you. You don't know how they're going to challenge you, but just maybe use an NLP technique. I'm going to an NLP training next week, so it's very fresh in my mind. But anchor yourself. You all guys know what anchoring is, right? So get into this state and anchor yourself to this state. So just before you go into a call, do that. So elicit that state before the call and just keep going back to it whenever you feel they're pinching you off that state, if they're challenging you or kind of asking for qualifications and so on. And the other thing, just a second, the other thing I want to say on state is be in that relaxed state. So the money
Mm.
thing, imagine you have money in the bank if that's an issue for you. Imagine you have paying clients. Imagine you're kind of really busy, not I'll have all the week open. No, sorry. And also get into a relaxed state. So my favorite technique for getting into a relaxed state is the peripheral vision, because it's just so
Right.
simple and so effective. Even now, as I'm showing it, as I'm explaining, my speech is slowing down. And I tend to speak really fast, so I should probably do that more often. But that's a great technique. Just focus on something, go into peripheral vision, and immediately calm down. Your nervous system calms down. Hard breathing, well, so whatever you prefer, get into that state first, anchor it, and go back to that when they start to challenge you and remember, someone who is feisty, they need some love. Someone who's a perfectionist, they need to take themselves less seriously, really. And then the butterfly needs the organization.
That's very true.
So that's easy because you actually can give this to them. And what I want to ask after Thomas, hopefully you're not forgetting what you want to say, is if anyone has a hard stop, we can continue. And I want to role play, maybe not just the objections, but also that challenge, because you're the commander. So maybe you can
Very happy to do
challenge Ruchi.
Very happy to do that now.
The
whenever.
commanders, by the way, are motivated by money and challenge. Is that right?
Definitely.
Yeah. Perfectionists motivated by facts and figures and data. So that's what you do, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then analysis. You kind of remember all the 4 types, you took them in and you started using them immediately. Butterflies, artistic skills. So yes, what would you want to say? Sorry.
I just wanted to pick up on something you said. And it's very similar, I think, to what Dea was saying about anchoring. I mean, first of all, I would never go into a sales call without paying attention to my state first. I have some meditations and some, the line between a guided meditation and a hypnosis session, to me, is relatively narrow. So I have some that fall on one side of the line, some on others, but I would, I have those that I can do quickly in 5-10 minutes if I need a boost, or 20 minutes if I need to immerse myself. But when I coach people with confidence, when I coach people who are dealing with personality types that undermine their confidence, one of the techniques I teach them is find a physical movement that you do when you were confident. For me, when I was learning this, it was having my arms open. It's not leaning forward, but sitting up straight and having my arms open. It'll be something
while you speak.
While I speak,
yeah, okay.
Or even while I listen. It'll be something for everybody, but a physical motion that you do when you're confident. Maybe record yourself when you're confident. You're doing loads of great physical stuff. When you were talking just now about how confident you are on this call, you were doing some great physical stuff. Your shoulders were moving, you were moving back and forward, you were doing a lot. I look weird right here, but you were doing some great physical stuff, and it really brought you to life. And I would say then pick one physical motion that you do when you're confident. Start doing it consciously in situations where you are confident, and then make yourself do it in situations where you're not. When you want to switch things around and retake the initiative,
you can use that.
You do whatever the physical thing is, and lean, and as Dea says, stand in your power, lean into your confidence by doing this physical thing.
Yeah.
Right.
I think, what you're saying essentially is anchoring, but I like that approach, because instead of doing some weird gesture that doesn't make sense, just random gesture, it's something you would do naturally while speaking,
confidence state,
and just kind of that brings you, through getting to a confidence state. Yeah, absolutely. Love that.
No, that's very helpful. Yeah. So I go back in there first, develop a habit of it, come back in there. Yeah, I got it. Sorry, I was just doing it in my head, but got it.
Let's do it. We'll role play now if you guys have some time. Does anyone have a hard stop at any time? Yes, Mel?
Not a hard stop, sorry. No, I was just going to ask you to just finish off what you were saying about the motivations. You didn't reiterate the butterfly and carer. I'm guessing that the butterfly is interest and light, and the carer is support and giving.
See, I knew you would ask me that.
Well, because I think these are the kinds of things that is worth.
I'm the same, and we hate incompleteness. And also, that's the analytical type in you, which I have the same. I'll be like, yeah, what are the other 2 types? Let me just double check something here. So the commander is money and challenge. The butterfly is fun. The butterfly is motivated by fun. So you gotta make. I have a client that's in her vocabulary every single session, every single recording we do on different sessions. We had a session relationships and money every time, and I want to have fun. She's a singer, and I want to have fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, the butterfly is fun. The perfectionist, we say it's facts and figures. I would personally say is the analytical thinking. We like to, okay, so what are the other two, and how can I apply
micromanage everything.
Yeah,
Everything needs to, yeah.
Spot the details,
Kind
the
of,
practice in the
yeah.
analysis. Yeah, you probably
Mm.
took all of Marissa's techniques, and you know exactly when to apply them, and you maybe change the order a little bit, and maybe you change something. I mean, I personally changed a few things because I decided I don't like that. But or you know, I'll kind of change, twist it a little bit. And then we have the carer who's motivated by caring and giving to people.
I put support and giving, so I wasn't too
Supporting
far.
giving. Yeah, absolutely. Supporting giving by people, they're motivated on a larger scale by a cause. So supporting a cause, which is what we all do.
I can certainly verify the commander one. I mean, when I can imagine myself being rich, very rich, so rich I don't have to work again, but it only makes me happy when I go on to think about, okay, what am I doing with those resources? What am I achieving with those resources? Similarly, I can imagine myself having a life of achievement and overcoming challenges, but only if I imagine that I also have enough resources to be content and in control of my own life. So either one of those on their own. There are people I know who just love a life of overcoming challenge, and you know, that's great for them. But for me, I would want my own personal resources alongside that. And there are people, I'm sure, though there are deeper issues with this one, who are content just having a lot of money. For me, happiness would have to be both.
So achievement, money and achievement.
Money and
not just-
achievement, not just one or the other.
Yeah,
Okay.
the 4 freedoms, definitely.
There you go.
What are the 4 freedoms? Fulfillment.
Location, time, learning, money.
Oh, okay. Oh, I like that. Good one. Yeah, so thank you, Mel, because that is important, actually, knowing what motivates each of these types.
Oh, it's not mine, it's that famous bloke's. But since I had the course, it just made me stop and think, and that would be perfect. If you got all 4 of those things, you'd want for nothing.
Yeah. I mean, thank you for asking me to complete that.
Oh, sorry, the other. Yeah, thank you.
And how do you notice them? Like, how do you spot these people? So Thomas here usually is wearing black, right?
Yeah, this is
So
unusual.
the
For me.
commander-
I'm usually wearing navy blue during the day because I'm an old school English snob, so I don't wear black before 6 o'clock. But so usually dark navy blue or dark green or something. Navy blue comes in a lot.
Yeah. So dark clothes, stylish, they're all about expensive things. How do they decide? The most expensive must be the best. So actually, you know, you're probably doing yourself a disservice by undercutting your prices for those people, because they'll think, why are they so cheap? Probably not good.
If I don't understand something, I will very often think, okay, what's the most expensive? I was sent to the supermarket the other day to purchase pasta. I am not a cook. I am not a cooking person. I will not cook anything that has more than 3 steps, where opening the fridge counts as 1 step and closing it counts as another step. So I thought, okay, how on earth do I decide?
What about the microwave? Oh, anyway.
How on earth do I decide what pasta I get for somebody? Well, I didn't in the end choose this because I thought about the person, thought it's probably not what they would want. But my default was, okay, what's the most expensive pasta? Look for the one that's the most expensive per kilogram and assume that that's the best brand.
Yeah.
And that is still how I, you know, if I'm making a decision in a vacuum of knowledge, I will generally assume that the most expensive option is the best one.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm disappearing. Why am I disappearing? Here I am again.
Because it's when you go too far, you disappear. Yeah, and that's actually a brilliant example. That's the commander. Dark clothes, language would be the best, the most expensive. Maybe you see them wearing things like watches and some expensive things and stuff like that. If you meet them live, firm handshake, and they control when they let go of you.
Yes.
So-
And also try and turn your hand slightly.
Oh, yeah.
If I
To be on
shake your
top.
hand, there is a good chance I will instinctively try and turn it ever so slightly, so I am just marginally on top of yours. And how far I can turn it without resistance will be something that instinctively my brain feeds back on and feeds into my sense of who you are.
So
This is
that
what my
means,
daddy taught me, firm handshakes, isn't it? Absolutely no chance.
so would you like resistance, meaning they're on par, like they have
So it's
strength?
just
or
information.
would you-
It's just information.
It
There's
doesn't
no
matter. Okay.
there's no good or bad. It depends what else I know
Oh,
about.
I don't know. I don't like limp handshakes. That really makes my tummy curl up.
It's something that to me is just information. It tells you something, not like a
So
one-to-one
clearly you're not gonna
correlation,
work
You
together.
can't trust limp handshakes.
but
Absolutely not.
there we go.
So, and the opposite of the, oh, well, the perfectionist, kind of similar. So both the perfectionist and the commander about control in a way. The perfectionist is more about time and things. Like Ruchi asked me, what time do we finish? So I was very aware that we need to finish by 7:30 because I promised.
No,
that.
I need to be prepared.
Of course.
You know,
you
I
wanna
need to know
plan
when
your
it
day.
starts, when it ends. Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, my husband is with the baby, you see. So I need to know like when it starts, when it ends. Yeah, that makes me feel more comfortable. Like I'm like, okay, yeah, I have all the information. I'm happy.
Yeah. And this is the kind of stuff. So you're the perfect example of the perfectionist. They want to know when things start and finish, timing you, noticing the words, analyzing. And I'm like that. And they wear kind of, I mean, you're wearing kind of softer colors, which is more the carer
That's
type.
unusual for me today. Today was a different day. Yeah, that's not my norm. But you know, it's really hot. I don't know which part you are in, but today I think in UK it's about 21 plus.
It's hot,
So
yeah.
yeah.
Where are you in the UK?
I'm in Crawley, close to
Okay.
Gatwick.
South
Yeah.
London?
So yeah,
Oh yeah. Been there.
down south. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So what are your usual colors?
I like bright colors, like you know something that
That's me. I like bright.
really lights you up. So like
Okay.
I would like yellow or like I mean even if I'm wearing smart casuals, it has to be something unique. Like I wouldn't go with a navy blue shirt or something. So like a yellow or pink or maybe
Okay.
yeah, something that makes me stand out. I like that.
Stand out. Okay. See, that's more the
Yeah.
butterfly type. They like to stand out.
Okay.
So of course, we all have
Yeah.
something from all four, but the
Yeah.
way you communicate here, the expectations about the meeting, you want to know when it starts, when it ends, where's my Zoom link, and everything else, right?
I just want to be prepared. And you know, then I'm
Of
scared,
course.
oh my God, she forgot me. she forgot me. I can't find the link. And then, you know, I start getting worried. So
I'm
that's
sorry.
me.
You know what? Interesting. When you texted me, do I get the link? I was going to send it there and then, knowing that we're sending it to everyone later anyway. And then you texted me, oh, I didn't get the link. And I was like, oh, I knew I should have sent it twice. So
No, I mean, I try to keep it short so that, you know, the other person doesn't feel like, oh, why are you like, so I was like, no, I'm getting worried. So, you know, therefore I waited, but then it was like 5:25. I was like, no, I can't wait anymore. Now I have to message.
of course, yeah. And you did well, because I had no idea if, I don't know, I still don't know why you didn't receive it. I'll check if you
That's all
sign
right.
up with the correct
No,
email. Maybe that's the issue.
not a problem. Not a problem.
Yeah, maybe actually that's what happened. Maybe it was the wrong email. Okay, so can you stay until maybe 8 o'clock, which is which is 3 for Dave, or what shall we say, to
Works for
practice
me.
a little
I'm
bit.
happy. I'm here.
So we're happy
as
to
long as
stay
I'm
longer.
useful.
What works for you, Ruchi? I want to do some practice now. I know we've taken longer than planned, but I hope it's all been useful information.
Yeah, of course, definitely it's useful. So yeah, I can definitely stay on, not a problem.
Okay, great. Mel,
Also, yeah.
nodding. Dave, you're happy to stay? Okay, perfect. So just thinking what is the best way. So I want to do some row practice. Yeah, okay. So shall we have you as client to
Yep.
begin with?
Very happy to be a client.
And we can have, so I want to keep this short to give everyone an opportunity to, I don't want to obviously drag it for 20 minutes each, or otherwise we'll be here till tomorrow, but just maybe the final bits. Should we do the final
Yeah,
bits?
let's
Kind
do
of the point
overcoming
where,
objections. No,
yeah, the overcoming objections is too expensive or whatever
Mhm.
you come up with.
Mhm.
Maybe you can start with your, so we can do a combination of, so you can start with your 30-second pitch. Maybe you can ask a question which is important to you, like qualifications and
Dear, we can't hear you.
really? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I think the voice is. Yeah, now it's okay. I think your voice was breaking up suddenly. So
Oh.
yeah, I couldn't hear you for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I was saying, shall we go straight to the objections?
I
or
think
start
let's go
with the-
straight to an
Okay,
objection.
fine.
Tell me what
do
objection you
that.
want me to manifest, whatever is most useful for you. And I will assume that I'm someone who is generally in favor of what you're pitching, but has this one objection. I think that's the most sensible way of doing it.
Okay.
So I want for planning, see, I'm being the perfectionist now. So I can role play this with Ruchi now. What will we do next? So I want Dave and Mel also to practice
Well,
with.
then let's do the same with them.
The same with you as
for-
well as
for
a
each-
client, different
yeah,
objections.
yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Whatever objection you want me to manifest, let me know. I'll manifest that, and we'll run it for sort of 5-6 minutes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I like that. Okay. So let's do that. Actually,
And
just
if there's anything else you'd like me to manifest, like a personality type, throw that in as well.
Sure.
the other types.
I'm pretty sure I can manage.
So yeah, so just to finish on how you recognize them, can I just say this really briefly? The carer is the kind of the soft, slower type we said that before, lighter clothes, very weak handshake, kind of dead fish kind of handshake. You should, Mel is like,
So not me. I'm obviously not a carer.
caring, they would apologize to you for offending you, for being on the call, for taking up too much of your time. That's the carer personality. They want to cause, they spend money on other people. Exactly what you described, Ruchi, in the beginning. Someone who looks after everybody else, who doesn't have money to invest in herself. That's the carer type primarily. And then the butterflies, happy-go-lucky person, all over the place. They can sit still potentially, fidgets. So you have to, again, rapport building. Match that as much as you can initially, so then you can, I think we're talking about pacing and leading earlier, so match and mirror if you can, to an extent. You don't want to lose yourself there, but then you can lead them and give them some of that love or that. So again, the butterfly needs to speed your structure, the carer needs the strength, and then the commander here needs some loving kind of attention and softness, which comes from your power rather than, again, always stand in your power. Yeah. Okay. So what objection are you doing?
Well, I'm waiting for Ruchi to tell me. What objection do you want me to do?
I think I find the commander types most challenging. So the advice you gave me, I'm going to just work the same thing out. So you be yourself. And, we have had the discovery call. You are okay with it, but now you have the objection that, yeah, but I don't think you're experienced enough. How can I be certain that I'm going to get my money's worth by investing in you? What can make me feel more confident about it? Yeah, from your end.
Sounds good to me. So shall I lead off?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm just going to take a minute to be in my power zone first before I come in, as you recommended. Okay. Yeah.
Take your time.
Fire away. Yeah.
So Ruchi, this has been fantastic, and I'm really sorry. I'm going to have to go in 5 minutes. I really like a lot of what you said. The system sounds good. The system sounds very well developed. I'm honestly not sure you're the person to deliver it to me. This is my last sticking point, and I say this with great respect. I see great potential in you, but right now I'm not convinced that you are. I need this to work. I don't have a lot of leeway with this. I need it to work, and I'm just. Are you the person to? Are you really the person to deliver this for me?
I promise you 100% that I can deliver the results to you. I've got testimonials. I'll forward it to you. So you have the person's photo, their words, and when they had the session. I have done more than 20 sessions, and all the people I've worked with, they have had incredible results. So I can give you 100% assurity that you're going to get your money's worth, and you will be 100% satisfied with the sessions. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yes. No, absolutely. Send those over to me. let me put it to you this way. Let me put a challenge to you, if you don't mind,
Mhm,
because I know
mhm.
I'm quite
Sure,
a
go
challenging
ahead.
person to work with. I
Mhm,
know that, and that's just part of who I am. Tell
mhm.
me about a time when you've had to deal with someone who is challenging. You know, I'm not someone who is just going to follow along easily. Tell me how you, as much as your system, tell me how you work with that.
Okay, right. So I'll tell you about my really, really challenging client. This particular person was a chemical engineer, and like they wanted facts and figures for everything. So this was the start of the session, right? But just about after the once we finished the session, they were like, I don't even need the recording. I have got the results right now, right after the session. But because you told me, I'm going to listen to that recording for 21 days. So this was a really, really challenging person. And yep, so they got the results they want. Now you might feel this is just one person, but I have worked with, I'll say 25 plus people, and all of them have had results, what they were looking for. And I have proof to show it for it. I'm not just saying that to gain your trust.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest. I want to stop the role play there, because to be honest, that was really convincing to me. You know, I'm really finding myself in this, and I've got one comment I want to make, and then perhaps Adair will have some one sort of, you know, something you might do differently next time. But before that, the first thing you said to me was, I promise you I can deliver this, or words to that effect. And one thing that I'm not sure if Daya said outright when she was showing this model of the personality types is that as a commander, you are a people person. I am a people person.
Okay.
If I want to know, you know, is there, pick a real example from me recently. If I want to know, okay, I've got some old books, like sort of 50, 60-year-old books. They're not like vintage first editions, they're just old books of sentimental value. I want to know how I store them safely. My first instinct is not to go to Google and Google how to store books. My first instinct is to go onto to my phone and message people who I know and say, hey, does anyone know how to do this? Because my first instinct is not because I'm lazy, because I want other people to do the work, it's to reach out to people. And you led with three incredibly powerful words. I promise you. Those three words, you probably had me at those three words, to be perfectly honest. And I'm really putting myself as a client in this here. I promise you. Those three words, the certainty, the conviction with which you said that. You know, I could have believed you were doing it for years when you said that. You really embodied conviction to me. You absolutely did.
Thank you so much.
To be honest, I was kind of tempted to stop it right there, because, you know, that did it for me. But I wanted to play it out a little bit more, just to give a bit more material. But yeah, that, I promise you, that was a fantastic start for a commander.
Thank you.
The other thing I would say is and this is the kind of the middle bit of the feedback sandwich, if you like. So at the very end, you said a little bit more than you needed to. You said you said to me, that's only one person, but.
Yeah, I shouldn't.
You subverted the power of your example. Oh, hang on, I'm disappearing again. And B, I didn't need to hear that. There's a phrase, you know, the Green Cross Code. I don't know if anyone taught this. I was taught this when I was at school. When you get to the edge of a road, what do? You stop, look, listen. And I say the same thing at the end of a sentence. At the end of every sentence, stop, look, listen. How has this sentence landed? At that point, you had me. If anything, you weakened it slightly by going on to that next thing.
You might think it would be, but you never actually thought that, you know, it might be one person. It was just my own thought that I'm trying. Yeah, no,
exactly.
I got you.
That is you speaking to you. That is not you speaking to you. So I would say stop at the end of every sentence, or at least at the end of every sort of verbal paragraph, stop, look, listen, and then think, what do I need to do next? But really, yeah, I think you led with I promise you. That's a great thing to say to a commander. You embodied confidence while you're saying it. You know, and you addressed the direction. You addressed it head on. You provided me with data. You provided me with evidence. But fundamentally, you provided me with a person I could believe in. And that is what I want.
Thank you very much. My highest value is authenticity. So if I could show a bit of that, that's me. Thank you.
Right. Well, so from my point of view, that was great.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Great. Amazing. Yeah, I've nothing to add. I was going to ask you what you found convincing, and it's
Mhm.
great. I love the promise.
Thank you.
I would like to hear that as well. Because I still think, well, according to the test, I'm also a commander. I wouldn't have my own business otherwise. So yeah, I love that. I promise you, the certainty, conviction, absolutely. Yeah, everything was great. I think the commanders are not always people, but you are. So I don't know
I
if
am.
that's a generalization, but in your
Mhm.
case, you connected with Tom, so that's great. I'll probably use even more words of the best and, you know, something like
Yeah.
that, results, and kind of more, make it more results oriented.
Mhm.
So I think you did, but I would throw in, just thinking
Mhm.
about type, I would throw in these words, those words in there
Yeah.
even more.
Best, proven, effective, fast. RTT
Mhm.
has a lot going for it. You know, pick out those words and reuse them. This thing on my wrist, by the way, this is one of those activity trackers. And someone brilliant. Someone asked me a couple of months ago. I've had this since I think it's February. Somebody asked me a couple of months ago, why did you choose that one? What made you choose that one? And when I was buying it, I had to buy it in December because they had a lead time. And I did a load of research. But 5 months later, when somebody asked me, why did you buy it? The only thing I could think of to say, or the only things I could think of to say were, well, it's one of the most expensive on the market. And when I ordered it, it had a 3-month lead time. So for all the research I'd done when I was buying it, those were the things that made enough of an impression on me that I remembered them months later.
And
Right.
I love, oh gosh. I think, I don't know the
It's
fast,
magic.
efficient and effective.
It's magic, yeah. It's your background there. Come on.
Background.
You're
Well,
too busy trying to show off your bridge.
because I don't want to show off.
No,
the
it's
model.
absolutely magical. Like, you know, you keep disappearing and then reappearing again.
I think
If we take this away, you'll see my DVD collection and some wine bottles.
I'd say, who's that magician, David, whatever it is, that disappears bridges?
yeah, magic wand. What was I gonna say? I love how you started with, I have to go in 5 minutes. So again, that type of person very much never have time, right? So I think fast results is probably
That's a
very
good
good
thing to take
selling
from that.
point,
Now make
which is true. RTT gives you faster results than any other form of therapy. Okay, I know Dave says it's EFT. I also kind of believe it's EFT, but you can say that. Some poetic license is allowed. And if you believe that, then absolutely say it. It's faster than any other type of therapy, or than most other therapies, if you want.
And you can say one of the fastest one of the fastest working therapies on the market. People will hear fastest working, they won't hear one of. Or at least they won't hear it anywhere near as loudly.
They'll hear what? Say it again.
If you say one of the fastest working therapies available, they'll hear fastest working, they won't hear one of.
Yeah.
Faster than talk therapy, says Dave. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And previously, in earlier in the call, you would have explored what they've done, what they've tried that has or hasn't worked. So presumably you've elicited from Thomas that he's done. Have you not done? Let's say he's done talking therapy. So strange.
Or if I've not done it, why not? What don't I like about it? Maybe I'll say, well, I thought about it, but it's got an open-ended commitment, something like that.
Yeah.
It will take a lot of time. Yeah.
So again, it's about listening. Yeah. So if it's too long, okay. So work with the time. If he hasn't tried it, you have to, find out why. Oh, what is happening? It wasn't so bad before.
I'm loving it.
Camera lens, maybe it's just not wide angle enough to get two of people in effectively.
I think there's something with that as well.
I don't know. Maybe.
I'm completely. Okay.
They play all evening like Harry Potter in his cloak of invisibility.
I know, that's the thing I was thinking. I was like, this is amazing. Like, and I remember that Harry Potter thing. Nice.
Beautiful. Okay. Any questions from anyone so far? And
I think that's good. Thank you.
do another role play if you're happy. I'm
Absolutely.
very happy observing here. So do we have time to do to each, or let's go to one person at a time first, and
I
then we
think let's
see
do
how it goes.
one person at a time.
So Dave, do you have someone to work with? An objection that you have in mind? How about previously you had this objection? They would come to you, hear you out, sound interested, and then probably I assume they say something like, I'll think about it, then they never get back to you. Or I don't have, what was it? I don't have money right now. Oh, there it is again. Was it, I'll book later, I don't have money right now? What was the objection? Maybe I don't have money right now?
What was your objection, Dave? What was your number one objection?
Number one, yeah. I think they would say something like the problem is not that bad right now. You know,
Mm, that's
I
fun.
I can deal with the problem. You know.
Why the hell you're wasting my time being on this call?
Yeah.
So, I mean, immediately I would say, so what's the reason you booked this call? Or maybe not in those exact words, but what brought you to this call then? Did you ever ask them that, or you just agree with them?
Oh, I would probably say, you know, yeah, you book the call, you know, so there must still be a problem there, you know.
Hmm. Okay.
Mel, you have your hand up. Do you want to chop
Yeah.
in there?
Dave, could you also ask them how much it's costing them? Because obviously they've joined you on the call. They're saying, oh, it's not doing enough to me. Just try and elicit what it is doing for them and how much it's costing them. Because I think anybody who says, oh, it's not having much of an effect, when they really stop and think about the effect, it's kind of like more of a snowball.
Right. Yeah. They may think that they're doing fine, you know, but let's say, you know, that they've been in the wrong job their whole life, you know, and they're not being paid a lot, you know, they maybe getting by barely, you know, but they're really not doing that well, you know.
Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is, you know that about them, you elicit that out of them.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not affecting you very much. Didn't you mention that you were working a 70-hour week for a minuscule amount and you haven't had holidays in 2 years and your kids can't, or whatever, you know, but could you maybe
draw that out of them. Yeah, I agree. Oh, I should say that, yes.
Okay.
So
Should we do a role play, Dave?
go for it.
Feel free to assume that I've said, we're cutting to the end of the discovery call, to the objection part. You can assume I've said anything that's useful to you. Assume I've said those things that Mel suggested, whatever. I'll just respond to what you throw me. Is that okay?
Go ahead.
Brilliant. So, well, I mean, thanks very much for your time, Dave. I really do appreciate you taking the time to talk me through this. But to be honest, it's a big deal, and things aren't so bad right now. I don't know that the problem. I don't know that the problem really justifies spending the kind of money you're talking about. I just right now, it's not too bad.
Oh, when you contacted me, you said you had this problem and that problem, you know, but now you're saying it's not that bad of a problem now. What changed?
I guess. I mean, looking at it alongside the cost, it's a, you know, I've been I've been doing this for years, you know. Things, it's just life, isn't it? Things are bad, you know, but you know, they're bad for a lot of people. And if I try and change it now, who's to say it's not going to get worse, you know?
You said, you know, it's bad, you know, but then, you know, if you change, life can be better. You can have a better life. You can have all those things that you want, you know, and there will be a cost, but over time, you'll get so much more, because you'll feel better about yourself, and you'll feel better about life, and you'll get a higher paying job, and you'll be happier, and you'll be healthier too. So you add up all those benefits, and you compare those to the slight cost, of doing a few um, uh, sessions of therapy, and the benefits are so much higher than a small amount of a cost, and then over time, you'll get so much more than what you're paying for.
I mean, that makes a lot of a lot of sense, Dave. I mean, thank you for that. But part of me wonders if maybe I should just try and ride out the next few months and maybe see where I am in 3 months' time.
Well, what will change? Will anything change? Why not try it now? And I think that with just one session, you'll feel so much better. You'll feel like, yeah, I'm starting to feel better. Why not keep going? And see where this takes me.
You really think so? You really think I can? You really think one session
Yeah.
would be enough? Okay, can
Uh-huh.
we do that? Can we do one session? Can we?
Sure.
Okay. Well, look. All right. Yeah. Let's try that then. Let's try one session, and we'll see where it goes from there.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll schedule a call. All right.
Brilliant. Thank you. There we go. Good work again. You landed me. And again, I felt landed in that. I wasn't trying to bring the role play to an end. I felt landed. And if I could throw out a couple of comments there, Dave, I think one thing that is hugely to your advantage, you have intrinsic credibility as a caring person. You have, and I saw this from the first time I came to do one of your meditation hypnosis sessions it was weeks ago now. You have intrinsic credibility as a compassionate person. I would never doubt compassion in you from that very first session, from the beginning of that session. And that gives you a kind of license to push a bit. It gives you a kind of license to lean in and be a little bit stronger, because you're coming from this basis of credibility. You said some fantastic things to me when I talked about, things aren't so bad now. You didn't try and convince me they were bad. You talked about how good they could be.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about, and that was what I was looking for with that. I wasn't looking for you to convince me that my life was crap. I was looking for you to convince me it could be better. You hit all of those points about health, well-being, money. Presumably you would know exactly which ones I'd said earlier in the call I was looking for, and you'd be playing those back at me. You wouldn't be just running down a list, you'd know. But that was fantastic. You were hitting all of those trigger points. When you saw me equivocating around cost, you went, okay, we can do a single session, and I'm confident you'll see results. And that took me into something that actually, yeah, you painted this picture of a better life for me. You've painted this picture of a better world. You've reminded me that, okay, what's actually going to change in the next 3 months? To be honest, I had something I was going to throw in there. I was going to say, well, as you know, one of my big problems is with my manager, and I've kind of heard a rumor you might be getting transferred. And I was going to see how you dealt with that. But to be honest, you took me so far and so well that I didn't even feel I needed to throw that in, because you were doing such a good job. It would have felt weird to go back to that. So yeah, I think the way you painted the picture of the better life for me, you drew me along to it, and then you landed me with something that was manageable for me. But with an open, it wasn't just, well, we'll do one session. It was, well, we'll do one session. I think you'll see the effect is so positive, you'll want to do more. So you landed me on one session, but with a clear pathway to more. So yeah, that was my view, Dave. I think you were, yeah, I think you did really well there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
First of all, Dave, how did you feel about this discovery call?
Oh, I think it went well. I answered his question.
Okay. Was there
Yeah.
anything that you found challenging or unsure of or difficult to handle or anything like that? Or not really?
No.
Did you feel you're being yourself? Okay.
Mhm.
I like that. I really like that. I do agree that it's the statement you can do one session and then more was very powerful. When and this is why you always start, this is one of the reasons why you start with a package. Because if they really say, oh, maybe I'll think about it, I don't know, but yes, but maybe, but not sure, then you can take a step back and say, okay, just do one session for now. I'm sure you'll see the results. I love how you said that. You already within one session, you'll feel much better. And
Mhm.
then if you choose to continue or whatever words, I can't remember how you phrased exactly, but yes, then you have the option to continue or not.
Mhm.
But even with one session, you'll see a result. So that was great. That's brilliant. Yeah, you were obviously you felt convinced. So that was really good. If that's how you felt that it's, you want to try the session. I do agree on the intrinsic credibility you have as a caring person. I do think this is your strength, and not use that, but just continue being who you are. I guess that's what it is. Maybe you just need to have more calls, because actually you told me last month that you closed 1 out of 4, 25%.
That's a
not
great hit
bad.
rate. That's a good hit rate.
Yeah.
I know salesmen who sell their right arm for 1 in 4. When I've been a salesman, I would have sold my right arm for 1 in 4. That is a great conversion rate. One last thing I want to just throw out there, and this is a quotation.
And I have something actually to say.
Go ahead.
To finish, sorry.
Go ahead.
That's okay. I feel that when someone says, oh, maybe in a few months, I don't know if you felt genuinely that you kind of turned around and you said, okay, let's try it. Because I feel that at that point, I personally would have said, okay, let's schedule a follow-up or something like that, because I felt I was losing at that point, and pushing would be too pushy. So I don't know.
Sorry, Mel, go ahead.
I've got a question on that, to be honest, because I'd actually written it down. As soon as you said that remark, that Einstein quote about, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting to find change. I don't know whether that would be too cheeky, but that's what popped in my head. That literally, you said that, and I was like sat there thinking, really?
I'm going to say something that is wholly personal and outside the context of the call, which I really, really don't like that quote. I find it wrong in every sense. It works within the very specific context of a physics laboratory where you can control every single variable. In the real world, you will never do the same thing twice, not least because the second time you do it, you are a different person. You are a person who's already done it once. So that's just on a purely personal level. But I think it would probably, for the person I was inhabiting in that call, yes, I think that probably would have pushed me away. I think equally, if I had been allowed to drift away, I might have come back, but I might not. I think what Dave did was really good, because this ties really well to that quotation I was going to mention, and I use this a lot. It's one of my fundamental principles. You've probably heard me say it before. Maya Angelou, who I rave about. Maya Angelou, people will forget what you said. They will forget what you did. They will never forget.
They won't forget how you made them
Dave,
feel.
you made me feel confident going ahead with this with you. You made me feel, in the same way that Ruchi stood up to me and got in my face and said, I promise you this will deliver. You almost did the opposite, which is what I needed in that character. You made me feel soothed. You made me feel heard. You reduced the commitment to one session, but still with the confidence that it would work. Not, well, let's try one session and see if it works. One session, I'm confident it'll work. You'll need more. So you made me feel, it's not about what you said as much as how you made me feel. You made me feel heard in my objections. You made me feel confident going forward with you. Whereas I think the Einstein quote, that I would have felt that as a challenge. In my first persona, in the persona I brought to Ruchi's session, then yes, absolutely, the Einstein quote might well have worked for someone who isn't me and doesn't have a particular bugbear about that. But Ruchi,
it was a curiosity question.
In Ruchi, in character as I was for Ruchi, yeah, that probably would have worked. In character as I was for Dave, I think it would have gone the other way and pushed me away. Sorry, I've disappeared. Here we go. Here I am back again. So yeah, that's my answer to that, Mel. I think it would have had a different effect depending on the kind of person you're bringing.
Brilliant. So what was your personality for Dave? Was that more the kind of softer?
Yeah, it was more nervous. It was more someone who hasn't taken a lot of chances in their life. someone who isn't
Sarah.
accustomed to doing things for themselves, someone who's kind of stuck in a bit of a rut. I basically took the personality type that Mel gave me when she was giving her advice to Dave. I basically just took that personality type, drew a little bit, frankly, from someone I know who's that kind of personality type. And yeah, someone who just isn't used to doing anything remotely unorthodox from their point of view.
Hmm.
And that was the person I brought to that, someone who, for whom, you know, putting out this kind of money and trying something called RTT is, you know, if I were going to put a particular characteristic to this person, I would say this is a kind of person who can't ever feel completely at home going to the pub on a Friday night with the people he considers his mates, but on the other hand, can't bring himself to stop going for fear he's going to miss out. If I were going to characterize my character as in one phrase, it would be someone who can't ever feel completely comfortable going to the pub with the people he considers his friends on a Friday night, is always on the edge of the group, never really comfortable there, but can't bring himself to stop going for fear he's going to miss out.
It's funny how that's the person that
So which one is that one then?
In terms of the 4 personality types, I think it could be anyone, but somebody who has been trapped in a cycle that makes them uncomfortable. I don't think it necessarily, they didn't ask me to embody a particular personality type, so I didn't sort of key my performance off that. I think you could see a frustrated commander in that, you could see a frustrated perfectionist in that, you could see a frustrated carer in that, you know, you could see a frustrated butterfly, you could see anybody as long as they're frustrated.
Very often, yes, we get raised by some opposing type. So for example, a commander can mellow out because of the influence they've had growing up. So they could be very well frustrated commander who's learned to be a people pleaser because they were so frustrated, because they don't have any self-worth. To be a commander, you have to have self-worth to some extent or another.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I, for example, feel, according to the test at least, and I like being in charge, I like taking the lead, but for many years, I learned to please people in the past, especially, and even now still. So that was very subdued in me. So yeah, it could be a frustrated commander. I think it could also be a carer / perfectionist. But yeah, for whichever type, very subdued, very kind of fearful of, right? Very
absolutely.
fearful.
Very fearful is a really good, I was really trying to capture fearful in it.
Yeah.
I mean, just briefly going back to what you're saying, one of the reasons why I, you know, and I will say this even now, even at 40 years old, with all of this behind me, I struggle sometimes still with perfectionists. And the reason for that is that when I was young, when I was a child, there was a perfectionist in my life who was an authority figure. There was a perfectionist in my life who was an authority figure. And that person, because of other aspects there, but not because they were perfected, because of other aspects of their behavior, they were probably the person who did most to impact my self-confidence. If I struggle with self-confidence, it probably became because of something this person had said or done. And therefore, when I see someone embodying the tropes of a perfectionist, I associate that with the person who has had the most negative impact on my self-confidence.
Sorry.
So
Can I just ask, do you think that's a perfectionist? Was it the other type, commander, perhaps?
Probably a perfectionist. Yeah, I would say a perfectionist commander, but that's very perfectionist.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because that's probably the worst. Those are people in their heads. They want to control people. They want to control things. They want to control time. They want to control everything. So I can see how that can be damaging to one's kind of self-esteem, self-worth. So yeah, I'm sorry about this that happened to you. Yeah, so I can understand how you can struggle with that. That combination tends to be like really harsh. There's like, it's cut off from the heart, basically. So
but can I say something?
Yeah.
I mean, you come across as the most confident person. So yeah, nobody would ever think you went through anything like that. Yeah.
Well,
so
I mean, I appreciate that. Part of it, you know, part of it is that is where I am now. I mean, I got into coaching for the first time 12 years ago because I was trying to find a way to deal with a perfectionist line manager back when I was in a very structured corporate role. And I was really struggling with my line manager, could not work out how to deal with them because they basically evoked so much of this person from my past. And I got into coaching as a way of managing upwards. Somebody suggested to me, well, take this coaching course and deploy coaching techniques to manage this person, which I did. I did it very successfully with them, and it changed my life.
It's amazing. No, because the person, I don't know, my dad will fall into that category, perfectionist plus commander. So that's why when the commander thing comes in, I'm like, oh my God. It was the opposite for me. No, but that's really interesting to know. Very nice, very nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mm.
This just to care can be, very, very
Hmm.
impactful. Okay, so Mel, would you like to give the pro play a go?
Yeah, no, I'll give it a go.
Thank you, Dave
Excellent.
and Ruchi. You've both been amazing. And
Thank
we'll have
you,
some
thank
as a
you.
client now.
What, Mel, what do you want me to embody? Do you want me to embody a particular personality type, and what objection do you want me to raise?
It's such a hard question. I honestly don't know. Truly, I don't know.
Let me pick for Mel. I'm going to pick for Mel. I think what last time you were, you did kind of the command the last time.
Yeah,
Shall we
I
pick
was.
the
Yeah.
butterfly? I wonder if you can do that.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Someone who's all over the place and stuff like
Yep.
that. One thing I want to mention before we forget or something, because I have the butterfly of forgetfulness. They forget. Yeah, that's a big thing for them. Before you get off the call, again, I said, make commitment. Dave said, thank you, we'll book a call. Never let them go off without making some sort of commitment. So I do say, okay, so does next work for you? Does next week work for you? Oh, I don't know. I have to check my schedule, blah, blah, blah. I'm so busy. Great. So I'll send you my booking link, and then follow up, make sure they've booked. Once they've done that, I tend to send an invoice. Some people, I think it's more the American way, can take people over the phone. I've also had a therapist take payment over the phone during the session, at the end of the session. I was like, what? So your card, please, your card details. I was like, okay, but I think that's the American way. So on the call, over the phone in the UK, we don't tend to do that. So send an invoice in advance, but whatever it is, book them there and then, right? Don't let them go off and bye, I'll talk to you sometime. No,
Absolutely.
we get a commitment, book them there and then. So if you're not sure about this guy who came yesterday, Dave, follow up and book right away. Not just someday, one day, maybe it's paid, maybe it's not. Like you have to be crystal clear what you're going for, when it's happening. If they have to check their schedule, fair enough. When can you get back to me? Tomorrow. Okay, great. They don't, follow up the following day. Without being pushing, chasing them, but yeah, just make sure that you follow up and get them to commit. Okay. So I'm picking the butterfly type for Mel.
Butterfly type.
Right. Butterfly combined with.
Oh, we're doing blended now.
Well, we all have a primary and secondary.
Yeah.
So we do. Yeah, I mean, think of someone, I guess I think that works really well when you can embody maybe butterfly with perfectionist or with commander. Or
Why don't we do butterfly with carer? We haven't done carer.
Mm-hmm. That's true. We haven't done.
We haven't done carer. So why don't we do butterfly with carer?
Mm-hmm.
And what kind of objection?
What kind of objection?
As I say, I've just not got any real examples to offer up.
I think a very good example though, which is like, why should I invest in this? And remember, the carer, they don't have money because they invest in other people. Butterfly, potentially, yeah, they're all over. They're just disorganized. What did you say, Mel, initially? You said people who say, why should I invest in this rather than go on holidays or something like this? Why should I?
I just guessed. I was taking my best guess at what people
just
might
not. Yeah, I
give
think
up as
yeah.
And to me, the main one is cost, and the second one is.
I think just not being
seeing the point of investing in themselves.
Exactly, I like that one. So just not seeing. I mean, maybe like in Ruchi's actual example, you've given money to other people, and you don't see why should you invest in yourself. That works.
Yeah, that works for me.
You kind of giving it away to other people, and so like, yeah.
That absolutely works.
The kids need money. The wife needs money.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, let's get started.
So, I mean, Mel, thank you very much for this. It's been really interesting. It's been really illuminating. I'd love to do it, and I definitely need something like this in my life. But I've I mean, I've seen, to be honest, I am concerned about the cost. As you know from when we talked about this in the beginning, we don't exactly have a lot of money sloshing around around spare, and I've seen a lot of other things. A friend lent me this this book. I don't know if you've heard of Paul McKenna. She lent me this Paul McKenna book, which I've only really started to look at it, but it looks really good. And I wonder maybe if I should try that first. And to be honest, a lot of what you've said actually sounds quite similar to the stuff that I've been taught at Slimming World, and I've only really just started that. So I think maybe I should see if those things pan out before I make such a big commitment to this. Does that seem sensible to you?
Can I just reflect some of your words back to you? We're on a call here because you've realized a need in yourself to initiate a change, and yet you don't have time to read a book, you don't have time to follow through on people's suggestions.
Yeah.
I
don't have time to do much of anything, and yet
you're concerning yourself about an investment that will actually give you back some of those elements. So if you think about it in this way, if you can uncover the block that's stopping you from making decisive decisions, from putting sensible boundaries in place, from giving too much of yourself.
I mean, I just don't see where the boundaries would go. It's not as though I can do any less. I mean, really, I should, you know, I feel like I should be doing more. I can't, you know, I mean, I'm already doing Slimming World. That's the thing for me. I'm trying to make time to read every evening, and it's hard, but you know, it's not like I do anything I don't have to do. I mean, everything.
Can I just
everything
reflect
in
that?
my life is things I have to do. I just there isn't really any. There's no spare me. I'm all spoken for. There's no spare me.
And that is entirely the point of why you need there to be some boundaries, and you need some of yourself left to be able to do everything that you're doing. You can't serve from an empty cup. You must have seen that quotation a few times.
I do.
Just stop and pause and think. Really think carefully.
Yeah.
How can you maintain what you're doing without instigating some change, without setting up some boundaries, without saying to people, actually, I'm sorry, I don't have time to do that.
No, that's true. That's true. Okay. I mean, I'm definitely going to need to talk to my wife, because we're going on holiday in August, and Johnny's got into cricket camp this summer, and I don't actually know if we've got him everything he needs. I know he needs a blazer, and I think he needs 2 sets of whites. So yeah, it's a really, really big opportunity for him. So I need to make sure he's got what he says for that. So I'm going to need to go and talk to my wife to see just how much I can spend on this. I'm hearing
what you're saying, and I'm going to reflect this back to you again. What you're saying to me is, in your life, you can find money for clothes, you can find money for holidays, for the children, find money for anything except something that will make your life significantly better on a permanent basis. I mean, not a temporary fix.
My life is, I don't know, my life is fine. I mean, it's you say I can find money for clothes and things, but really I'm finding money for the children. I'm not finding money for my clothes. I'm not finding money even really.
But isn't that the whole point? Isn't that absolutely the whole point? That you're not giving anything back to yourself. And you might one day find that little quotation about the cup coming a little bit too close to the truth. But if you've got an empty cup, how can you help other people. It's called burnout. How far do you reckon you are from burnout?
Well, to be honest, not as far as my father was through most of his life. I'm so lucky. When I look at my parents and the life they had, I am so lucky compared to them. I get to do my yoga, I get to do my Slimming World. You know, the family are really trying so hard to find something for, you know, time for me to sit down and read. They really do their best, and I love seeing them. I love seeing Johnny playing cricket. I love seeing Jimmy on the stage when he's doing his drama. I love it. And you know, I get what I need from them. That's it. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I get what I need from them. So, you know, I'd like to be better for them.
Can I just again reflect back what you're saying to me? You're saying to me that your whole life is spent living vicariously through other people. Truthfully, how long, realistically, without becoming a husk of a shell on the floor, can you sustain that?
I think people can adapt to. I think people can adapt to whatever, you know, whatever comes their way. But I think, yeah, I think.
You have to want it. There's nobody that can want it but you. But what I'm trying to ask you to listen to is the words that you're telling yourself. And you're saying that your entire life, your existence belongs to everybody but you. Nothing is for you. How important do you think it is to have at least some small proportion of your life that is for you, so that you can then reflect that back out again manyfold?
I think
there comes a point where you can't keep giving because there's nothing left to give.
No, you're right. You're right. That is a good point. I do need to look after myself for them. And all right, yeah. I tell you what. Can you send me in writing the courses and particularly the cost, because that's the thing I'm going to need to look at. Send that to me in writing, and I will come back to you.
We've already talked about, and feel free to think about it as long as you need to and as long as you want. I can only tell you what I've already said, but the reason I keep saying your own words back to you is because I'm hoping you're going to hear them.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You make a good point. Thank you very much, Mel, and I will definitely be in touch.
I'll book you in for a follow-up call next week.
Thank you. Brilliant. Yes, brilliant. Sorry, I'd already come out of it.
You were being absolutely bloody minded.
So I'm just
truly bloody minded.
I also want to wrap this up by past. Thank you so much for attending, Ruchi. We'll wrap it up in the next few minutes, and I will send the link to join I told you in the email, the Minds in the Community Network, so that you see the recording of this and everything else. Thanks so much for taking an hour long.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ruchi.
No, thank you. That's been extremely helpful. Thank you so much, all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to your husband for giving you an extra hour. So see you soon.
Bye now.
See you soon. Bye.
Take care.
No. So I do want to wrap this up, guys. Mel, that was really, really good. I really love how you let him off the hook at the end and said it will follow up. Actually, you probably said, I
think Dave's taking it as the end of the call, but no, I have to admit, I found that incredibly frustrating. I can't say how frustrating I found that.
I would say go a little bit more with the client rather than always saying, "Oh, but you're proving the opposite of what they are." So
I
empathize a bit more.
I think yeah. So I think we got there. I think you were very patient. I don't think you need to say how frustrating you found it, because I felt how frustrating you found it. I could really feel that. I think the thing I was really looking for was
before the very end, you felt I was frustrated with you.
From about a third of the way in. And I think the thing I was looking for was the pivot to do it for them. That was the thing I was kind of trying to offer up as a hook, was that
didn't actually cross my mind.
Do it for them rather than finding a space for yourself. Because I think, you know, I was playing someone who, again, drawing from people I know, has convinced themselves, someone who's lived with this for years and has convinced themselves that actually they do get something back, that they love sitting there and watching little Jimmy on stage, watching little Johnny play cricket. They would not rather be sitting down with a good book, whatever. Who's convinced themselves in order to cope. Their coping mechanism is that they really believe they enjoy this. So do it for them. The kind of the pacing and leading, do it for them was the pivot and the hook I was looking for.
Oh, no, like I say, I definitely didn't have that not even slightly on my radar.
What I really liked from that was you were being quite upfront, you were being quite almost confrontational, you were really pushing it, and you were giving me structure. You know, like Daya said with the butterfly needs structure. And I really liked the way you were not letting me hide, you were not letting me be too evasive, you were giving me that structure. And I think with a pivot to do it for them, this is going to make you a better for them. And once you've got me on that hook, then you can, over the course of the sessions, you can talk to me about the need to find time for myself and the need to invest in myself. But actually starting with, you know what, do it for them.
Well, what would have taken you to the call in the first place? Just think, you've booked a call. Why would you have come on that call in the first place?
Because I see myself as letting them down. Well, two things. One thing is I see myself as letting them down. The other, if I'm a carer as well as a butterfly, because a friend of mine over coffee has listened to me talking and said, I think you need to give yourself space. I think you need call this great person I know called Mel. She solved a load of problems for me. And then I'm on the call. Okay, what I'm saying is I'm on the call for my sake, but actually I'm too much of a carer to tell this friend I'm not going to do it. So I'm kind of on it so as not to break a promise to the friend. But if I'm a carer, I need to be spoken to as a carer. I need to be, and you spoke to the butterfly in me by doing by being quite structured and not letting me be evasive, but the carer needs to be spoken to as a carer. You need to speak to the carer's values, not to convince the carer to be less caring, but to show how the carer is being caring by doing what you want.
Well, I obviously didn't do it very well, but what I was trying to do was trying to make you see that you could care more if you looked after yourself.
And I think what I really needed to hear was that explicitly. You definitely hinted it in a few cases. And when you hinted it, I tried to sort of move on to it, particularly towards the end, you said something about, you know, you can shine for them or something like that. It was a really nice turn of phrase. And I'm really sorry that I can't remember it. It'll be on the recording. But
it's fine. But I think that's, I wasn't doing what you wanted me to do. I was looking at it from a different angle, basically.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you know, one of my deepest beliefs, one of my strongest mottos, if I could have everything tattooed around across my chest, this is what I would have tattooed across my chest, is what matters is what works, which is a quotation from Tony Blair, former Prime Minister. What matters is what works. And if it works for you, that's all that matters.
Yeah. So guys, I will have to personally wrap up here. I don't know if you want.
No, that's fine. And I've written it all down. I've got it.
Yeah, good. You did really well, Mel. I think this is so challenging. And when you start practicing, when you
have to admit, I found it that incredibly challenging.
Yeah, I mean,
to say the very least.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. And when you start practicing, you get used. When you start getting discovery calls, you get a bit more used to different types of people and so on. But yeah, well done for someone who's not having discovery calls and kind of almost first one, maybe second after the last time we did it together. Really well done. So and it was not an easy character either. So for your kind of personality.
I was not letting you off the hook.
Yeah.
Oh, I noticed that.
I was making you work.
I definitely got that bit.
I was making you work for it because I know you can work for it.
That's it. Yeah, that's very true. You can. That's the thing.
No, I'm glad you pointed out the pivoting guy. That had escaped me completely. I hadn't got that.